Prince of the Sun, who was admired by humans, fell in love with the sacrifice girl dedicated to her. So he was imprisoned in a heavenly palace quietly, kissing and expressing love at any time. Just because there is a prediction of the Prince of the Sun in the Pohu's empire, the Prince of the Sun will meet a human girl who is immune to fire. They will give birth to a all-round god together. Therefore, every year on the Sun Festival, young girls are presented as sacrifices to the three sons of the Sun God. Because of this nonsense prophecy, human women's sacrifices are burned to death every year on the day of festivals. Rihanna is one of this year's sacrifice. She never thought that she would be forced to be her half-sister Gladia. Let her die happily. Rihanna's vocal cords who drink potion are damaged and could not speak. It feels as if it is burned by fire. For despair and helpless, she can only watch her golden long hair dyed into a magnificent red. And that's exactly what my sister Grazia wants. Because of this red method, they look no different. Looking at the back of my sister Grazia's departure, Rihanna is stupid but has no effect. In the end, she was dragged away by the maids. Replace the vicious sister to become the offering of the Sun Prince. Until Sunday. Rihanna, as a sacrifice, was taken to the altar. See everything in front of you. The fear that was about to be swallowed by fire instantly filled my heart. Tears fall like rain. The people excitedly clenched their fists and shouted loudly. Can't wait to see the beginning of the ceremony. At this time, the father of the priest walked out of their warm cheers. I would like to present my beloved eldest daughter Gladia to the Sun God. His voice was dull and solemn. Fake flowing in cheap tears. See this scene. Lixiana thought her father would feel unbearable to him, staring at the man on the stage. So I didn't miss his look without any emotion. The man on the stage is still performing his fairness and selflessness. The sacrificial ceremony was started without hesitation. At this moment, Lixiana's thoughts were gone. He desperately shouted me with a stiff tongue. Not Kratia. But no miracle. The throat affected by potion is just a bitter scratch. Soon the flames burned quickly. Change to Lixiana. A silent scream came from the girl's open lips. Come and save me. On the other side, Orizio, the third son of the Sun God, is sitting leisurely on the cold marble bed. Slowly picked up the fourth glass of wine. But he was disturbed by the anxious inner drama of servant Gino. You make me angry. Gino, have you forgotten that I have the ability to read my mind? Don't complain anymore. Giluo, who heard this, begged for mercy. Your Highness, please forgive me. Sun Street is coming soon. You missed it again. Your Majesty will definitely chop my head. Don't worry, I can kill you before my father. In fact, I will make you die quickly and painless. Hearing this, Gino's eyes burst into tears. Your Highness, I may be reborn, but it still hurts every time. But Orexio never participates in the Sun Festival, because he didn't like this cruel way of sacrifice at all. However, Gino shouted with tears in his eyes. His Royal Highness, if you refuse to sacrifice again, Your Majesty will summon you. I will be thrown into an endless abyss. Is this what you want? Listen to Gino's poor balloon. Orshaw suddenly lost his interest in drinking. Get up and say if this is really my father's wish. Then I will accept this trap. This time, Gino hits his father. This is the first time. Also the last time. With a breeze blew. Orshaw's face began to shine. Arrived at the altar in a moment. Hear the voices of human women around him being fooled. I regretted that I should come back after the fire ends. But looking at the girl surrounded by a blazing flame, men involuntarily come down from the air. Walked to Lixiana. Looking straight into the girl's face with weird eyes, he spoke lightly and said, You're Gladia, right? You must have some kind of divine power, because you haven't been burned yet. But unfortunately, I've never been interested in accepting this kind of trap. Hearing this, Lixiana tried her best to speak up as a bastard. It's not her, it's not Gratia. But there is still no sound. Seeing this, Orexio brought the girl back to the heavenly palace in an abnormal manner. After Gino learned about it, he was so angry that he was crazy. Screaming His Highness, how can you bring the human machine to the Tiangong? What are you thinking about? Orshao doesn't care. Just said lightly to save him. I need to confirm something. Gino of classical Chinese can't understand it at all. I was so anxious that I almost cried. Why do I waste magical power to save a trivial human beings? And Your Highness brought the person back privately. This is very serious. You'll even be tried. Hearing this, Orexo suddenly sneered. It is possible to be tried. His Highness Gino said weakly. Remind suddenly, that no one in this world dares to judge Aurelio. Not even Aurelio's father, the sun god Solomon. Because Oresh is the only judge in the Tiangong. Gino shut up immediately, and quickly pulled back the curtains. She examined the girl's injuries, but just a glance made her gasp in shock. I could hardly believe it. She was about to be reduced to ashes. Then she reached out her short, chubby fingers to heal her. Soon, blue light began to permeate every corner of the girl's body. The tightly closed lips of the girl started to part. The enthusiasm fades as the treatment ends. Lixiana's red hair color fades away. In an instant, her appearance is restored. A cascade of light golden hair spreads across the bed. This has exhausted the old god's strength. Gino wiped his sweat. He said, Your Highness, it will take some time for him to regain consciousness. Please confirm what you want to know as soon as possible. Then eliminate him before his human presence fills the entire palace. But Orexio ignored Gino's words. He simply gazed thoughtfully at the blonde girl in front of him. What secret is she hiding? Looking at the girl who had regained her original appearance, her mind-reading ability unexpectedly failed for the first time. At that moment, a strange presence appeared in the palace. Orexio's gaze instantly turned cold. He sensed the man's unusual aura. Gino quickly erected a black curtain around the girl. He concealed the girl. Soon, the palace envoy arrived. He bowed to Orexio and said, Your Highness, I have brought a gift from the queen. I heard this is your first time attending the Sun Festival. He is very happy. Aurelio smiled faintly. Are you talking about the gifts? As soon as he spoke, the ground beneath the envoy suddenly became extremely hot. He was instantly surrounded by blue flames. He endured the burning pain. Gasping for breath, he forced himself to say, I am here on the queen's orders. You can't treat me like this. This is tradition. Tradition? Oh, Rei Xiao scoffs. The weather is nice today. You certainly wouldn't want this to be your last day, right? And the envoy, unable to bear the pain, shouted out at that moment. It's so hot. Everyone, get out. Get out right now. After saying that, he lost consciousness. With a thud, it fell to the ground and didn't get back up. Oh, that's so scary. The maids from the palace screamed. The wolf has escaped. Gino nearby was trembling in fear. Your Highness, you really drove everyone away. The Queen and Apollo's family won't let you off. It's okay, I just want to live a life free from royal interference. Of course, Your Highness. Gino, the sycophant, chimed in. But no matter what, now that you are attending the Sun Festival, it's time to lose your virginity. Before he finished speaking, there was a sound of despair. Gino was bounced away. Then Orexio ordered the maid as if nothing had happened. Tell me when the girl wakes up. Meanwhile, Luciana is experiencing a nightmare that cannot be distinguished from reality. In her dream, she ran while pleading with those around her. Save me, but I was still caught by an evil hand. You dare to escape, you little mouse. A evil male voice sounds, regardless of the sight of the surroundings, dragging him toward the corner. Luciana. Survey anyway. The last words of the mother sounded in the girl's mind. The girl supports the only breath. He pushed away the evil man with all his might. Just then, a commotion came from the distance. The goddess Grazia is here. Everyone ran to the goddess. It turns out that before the Sun Festival comes every year, the goddess will choose orphans out of mercy. If you are lucky, you can become a goddess. These are the children you called. When this clear voice rang over Luciana's head, she stood up in despair, looking at the goddess. It also reveals a cursed wrist, shouting loudly the respected goddess Grazia. If you can hear me, save me from this hell. After that, Luciana was placed in a temple. Eat here to sleep and wash. Those goddesses who were unwilling to let go of Luciana began to whisper to the treasure with grain rain. I really don't know why Grazia always brings these beggars to temples. Things that look dirty and humble. Be careful that you don't understand Gladia. Do more good deeds before the altar on the Sun Festival, because of the Sun God. We'll bless kind people. The goddesses whispered. I thought no one of these beggars knew Guyu. Coriciana understands it, because his mother will be Guyu. The girl with her hair was thinking sadly. I feel really sad about the greatness of the goddess Grazia. He will soon offer himself to the Sun God to protect him. He saved me so kindly. He is the first goddess of the Aratigo Empire, who is guarding the sacred fire. He can even use his divine power to create flames. On that day, Ridiana prayed devoutly as usual. Almighty Sun God, thank you for letting me live a peaceful life. Just as he stared at the bright sunshine, a goddess walked into his room. I'm here to take you to see the noble grand saint of Unicus. But before that, your hair color needs to be changed. Soon the confused Rayana was dressed up by the goddess. Several people were walking on the way to the high priest's palace. He watched himself reflected on the smooth ground. A nonsensical idea suddenly appeared. I look like Gladia. Thinking of this, Luciana's face turned red instantly. Lower my head. How could I think this way? Suddenly a loud voice sounded. The respected goddess Grazia, the high priest of Unicus, comes to worship. Rihanna's pupils suddenly. The veil on the head was also unveiled instantly. Unicus, who just finished the sacrifice, is washing his hands with clean water. Gratia. Why did you suddenly come at this time? Hearing the high priest calling himself Gratia, Luciana started to tremble. A huge uneasiness arose in the small body. Sorry, I'm actually at this moment. Another Gratia appears. Ha 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 father, I'm here. Unicus was shocked. Isn't that really you? Gratia heard. Grazia laughed louder. How about father? Isn't this perfect? I've been looking for this little thing everywhere. Unicus looked puzzled. What does this mean? Gratia. Grazia said, raising her tail roughly Tiana's wrist. Look at my father. As my mother said. The seal of the Mandos family, and these cursed words are imprinted on him. After the words, Unicus finally understood. Gratia. You know this is a mistake. Unicus test denial. But a hot tears flowed from the corner of my eyes inexplicably. This made Grazia's gentle voice sounded again. Luciana, what do you think? Can't you see any similarities between us? I heard that your mother is the direct goddess of the sun god. She is said to have light blonde hair. Born with a charm, can fascinate men across the country. Right, father. Enough, Grazia. Don't bother me for this matter. Your life is hanging on the line now. Unicus said viciously in the old saying. Grazia was not panicked at all when she heard this. Say softly in old words, but he will replace me to the Sun Festival tomorrow. Rayana jumped in Grazia's discourse center. The altar is based on what I know. It is the place where they offer sacrifices to the sun god. Thinking of this, Luciana tears fell like rain. Hold the sleeves of Grazia. Please spare me. I'm willing to do anything. Goddess, I don't want to die. Grazia was slightly stunned when she heard this, looking at Luciana crying in despair. Say coldly, can you actually understand the old sayings? You're so smart, but don't forget your identity. You were born to die for me. Orshaw looked at Luciana who was still crying in her sleep. Inexplicable. Then grabbed her wrist hard. Holding someone in your arms, scanned the girl intently. The delicate little face couldn't help but sigh. Although it is just a human, but she has light blonde hair that suits her very well. Luciana is still immersed in a nightmare. The fear that is about to be swallowed by fire and the force coming from your hands, make him think his hands are burning. The girl opened her eyes instantly, but the dazzling light made his eyes unable to focus. Only one blurred face was seen. Who is Orexio was slightly stunned. Hearing the girl's cracking sound, he used his divine power to cover a golden water cup. Pour the holy water in the cup into the girl's little mouth. It's like watering the withering flowers. Butrina was shocked. At this moment, he remembered the strange look of his rudeness by the goddess, causing damage to the vocal cords and unable to open. He doesn't want to be treated so terrible again. So the girl closed her lips. Grudge your teeth tightly. Blow the holy water over. Seeing this, Orexo suddenly carried the girl to bed. She said coldly that you must drink. Otherwise the sun will dry you. Until you die. No, I don't want to drink. But Orexio ignored the girl's words. Or used divine power to summon the second cup of holy water. Then it's like suppressing the little prey. Pressing his back tightly. Put the water cup close to the girl's lips. But he still didn't open his mouth. Just struggling violently like crazy. It knocked over the holy water again. Orexio looked at the girl who kept sobbing in order to reject the holy water. The body was soaked by the overturned holy water. Suddenly laughed and you are very interesting. But you start to bother me. Don't resist your good luck. After saying that, pour the holy water into your mouth. Grasp the girl's small chin tightly. Lean down and press it up. The subtle touch spreads between the lips of Rihanna. I don't know how long it took. Until she was stiff. Orexio finished feeding the holy water. At this time, Rihanna's sight suddenly became bright. Looking at the handsome man in front of you. The girl couldn't believe her eyes widened. I blushed my face. Then subconsciously asked who it was. Erikson, who heard this, smiled very kindly. You didn't recognize me. It's so disappointed. Human woman. Radiana looked at his bright smile. Frown. A look of confusion. Seeing this, Orshao immediately whispered and reminded me in a low voice, and that I am the bastard you are looking for. These words come out. The girl's heart suddenly jumped. I remembered the man he met before his death that day. The little face instantly pale, but he quickly reacted. Asked in a trembling voice, wait a moment. Does this mean I'm still alive? Orshao stared at the girl in front of him. I can't say you're still alive. But you are not dead. Richiena is in a bad mood after hearing this. You should know that the sun god, the ancestor of the Brahma, will be angry with her for 3 generations. Although I shouldn't live to have a grandson. But thinking that I might fall into hell again. He suddenly cheered up. Bent down suddenly. The ground hit with your forehead pounds. Oh, the sun god. Please forgive my sins. Please give me some mercy on this poor soul. Please bless me with your love. Save me from eternal hell. Enough. Orexio said irritably. God knows he hates seeing the crying face the most. But I can't hate Lixiana at all. The man picked her up. The girl stopped crying in shock. Until it is placed on the bed. She realized that she had been in contact with the other person's strong body. Instantly scared. Stiffness all over. Lying straight on the bed. Dizzy. Orshao can't believe it. She just fainted. Why is she so weak? We are descendants of the sun. Looking down on rule of humans. Let them believe in us. Human life. Negligible. But this human woman. She is the first person to look me in the eyes. Not only that, I can't understand her thoughts. Kill her now is a waste. Then he ordered the maid to pay close attention to him. He might make a big fuss again. Then he was worried about his explanation that he must respect him. The next morning, there was a scream of a soil mouse in the palace. Oh my god, I must be dreaming. Yes, it must be like this. Gino's eyes were locked on the woman lying quietly and breathing smoothly, jumping straight to an anxious. Why are human sacrifices still alive? Orexio, who was beside Jing, touched the Black Panther's head, said coldly, remember me. I'm going to let him live. What's why you do this? What if someone smells his scent? Are you doing this to anger your father? And Orizio, just holding the pet's head, smiled gently. What do you mean? Why isn't this what you want? Don't you want me to lose my first time? Gilyuo's face is aggressive. Asked carefully. Your Highness, do you really want to sleep with that human sacrifice? Yes, a man answers lightly. Let Gino fry the hair instantly. Seeing this, Orexio smiled and said goodbye to worry. I joked. Hearing this, Gino was so angry that he was trembling all over, screaming. Your Highness, you stumped me just now. When will you deal with him? Don't tell me you want to keep him as a pet. We can't let him live. Your Highness, even if His Majesty allows, the Queen won't let you go. If the Queen sends envoys to come, that human is dead. Let's kill him before that. Orexio said disapprovingly. Maybe you're right. Of course I am. So let's settle now. Take his life. Gino suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that your Highness has finally come to his senses. Can be the next second. Orexio said with a bright smile that I'll go to bed soon. Gino, who was with him, was petrified on the spot. His Royal Highness, what are you talking about? I pretend not to hear. I didn't hear it without any words. Calligraphy Orixer said a little funnily. Your arrogance is shocking. Gino, do you want me to wipe the expression on your face? Like I did to others. Spoken. Gino was so scared that he burst into tears. You're too cruel. Your Highness Orizion doesn't think so. If you shut up, no one will know. The poor Gino still doesn't give up. Weakly persuaded. How long do you plan to hide that human girl? You need to know that your situation is very different from your brother's. It turns out that Orizo's mother is just a mortal. So as a demigod, he has dark hair and black eyes. Since ancient times, companion god has never been recognized as the true god. Even if you are in the highest divine blade ancestral boudoir, there is no exception. Almost all companion gods will eventually be assassinated or poisoned to death in the name of the gods. But Orexio not only survived, he also ruled the entire heaven as a prince. Because he not only inherited his father's golden glory, born to have the technique of mind reading. Therefore, the gods are unwilling to act on him, including the almighty sun god Thor. Thinking of my complicated life, the smile on Orsha's face disappeared instantly. Say faintly that everyone in my house wants me to break up. Isn't it? But we didn't expect your partner to be a human woman. Such words. You may be deprived of your title. His Highness Gino shouted loudly. Orexio doesn't care. Is this what? Hearing this, Gino immediately slapped his head. The little elf's brain is so big that it's 3 pieces. You must know that in the god realm, when a prince becomes an adult, he must marry a royal family member or a senior fairy, and make marriage complete. This is what everyone agreed upon. Those who truly support the queen and the royal family. A list of potential brides. Try to put His Highness Orexo under their control. But His Highness Orexo wants to give up his succession to the throne. By giving your first time to a mortal. Think of this. Gino suddenly had a flash of inspiration. Wait, even if His Highness Orexo sleeps with human women, he is still the only judge. This means, even the sun god Thor can't take away his title. At this moment, Gino's brain is crazy. So he spoke thoughtfully. Even so, it still feels wrong. Let you give a human woman in the first night. Orizio sighed silently. As long as they can keep them away from me, I'll be very happy. His Royal Highness, you may be completely expelled from the heavens. When Yan Orshao poured a glass of wine in a hurry, liberally raised the wine glass, smiling as bright as the sun. Well, that's exactly what I want. Not long after, Lixiana slowly opened her eyes. When she just woke up, she was thinking hazy. I can smell the warmth of the sun. Is it all a dream? Still, the sun god has compassion for me. Send me to heaven. The girl suddenly stunned, because he found that his hands were tied. Just then, a nice voice sounded. You said you are not Gratia. What is your name? Lixiana. The girl stares blankly at the handsome man above her head, subconsciously answered. Seeing this, Orshao couldn't help but curl up the corner of his mouth. Lixiana. You can call me Olshaw. The girl was immediately fascinated by the beauty in front of her. I blushed when I grabbed it. The inner deer bumps into, but soon he came to his senses. Instantly fear permeates the whole body. Please don't kill me. Please loosen your ties. Sure. As long as you promise not to faint again. With a snap of your fingers, the rope tied to the girl's hands will automatically disperse. Lixiana was slightly shocked. I sat up from the bed in pain. Then quickly turn around and kneel on the bed. Devote to Orexio. The man lifted the girl's chin with a hand. With a warm smile as sunny as you say softly, you can look up. But the girl blushed and looked at it with a red face. Olshao said with some funny opening again. I asked you to look up and see. This sound seems to be magical. Let Rihanna look up involuntarily. So Orishao is very satisfied. The smile became even brighter. What a good girl. Two eyes are destined to meet Lixiana. Looking at the life with a bright sunny smile in front of you. The girl had only one thought in her mind at this moment. She is so beautiful. I want you to survive. Orizio's gentle voice sounded again. The girl's thoughts were interrupted. I was a little confused and asked, do you really want to forgive me? Of course, Your Highness. In fact, I can even give you eternal life. But you have to stay overnight in my bed. Classical Chinese. Lixiana was shocked. Asked tremblingly, was you in bed all night? If I don't want eternal life, you have courage. But do you dare to refuse? After the words came, the girl was stunned. I haven't made a sound for a long time. Orshaw got off the bed. Take a break. Raise your body well. You're weaker than a mouse. Until Orexia leaves. Radiana didn't come back from the shock just now. At this time, his mother appeared in his mind that his mother told him that men and animals were no different. You must protect your cleanliness at all costs. Thinking of this in vain, the girl's tears couldn't stop sliding from her eyes. She is a god, but she's still a man. Although her words sound beautiful, but if I can't please her, she might turn me into stone or wood. What should I do with my mother? Just when Lixiana was secretly sad, a strong fragrance of flowers interrupted her thoughts. Suddenly a drop of water fell on the marble ground. A strange girl with green hair turned into pain. Rihanna was suddenly scared. A scream similar to a groundhog came from the heavenly palace again, so the green-haired girl waved her hand to introduce herself. Hello, I'm Nicole, a low-level fairy. Your Highness sent me to take care of you. I'm really sorry for scaring you, Mrs. Lixiana. I've got you some water. But Krishiana refuses all food. Just sit on the bed with my knees silently. The simple Nicole doesn't understand why the wife is so sad. I secretly thought that I could serve the prince's first partner, which is my greatest honor. But there is a fundamental problem. Mortals can't live long in the heavenly palace. Their fragile bodies cannot withstand the essence of the sun, destined to wither. I explain. He needs food to survive. However, the lady still refused all food. Looking at Lixiana, who said nothing, Nicole was so anxious that she cried. Poor and said, Mrs. Lixiana, please. The order I received is, you need to drink this cup of holy water. There are the essence of His Royal Highness Orexio, the Sun Prince. Hearing this, Lixiana took the cup, looking ahead with a dull look. No next move. Nicole really doesn't understand why the lady doesn't want to drink it. You need to know that this cup contains the holy water with the essence of His Royal Highness of Oreen, but the highest luxury goods among the goddess of Tesla. One cup is enough for my 19 brothers and sisters to dowry. Suddenly a sound rang, interrupted Nicole's thoughts. What would happen if I drank this? Nicole quickly answered. You will become healthy and beautiful, just like the goddess of Paulus. Rihanna sucks her nose, saying Nicole with a serious face. You can drink this, if you want. These words come out. Nicole panicked instantly. I dare not greedy everything that His Royal Highness gives you, Mrs. Lixiana. Looking at Nicole looking very terrifying, Lixiana poured the holy water into her mouth as if she had accepted her fate. Seeing this, Nicole took the opportunity to ask if you will start eating tomorrow. Lixiana shook her head wildly and said she refused. Nicole is about to cry. Asked weakly, how could it be? Will you continue to drink? Hearing Nicole's begging, Lixiana nodded slowly. Seeing this, Nicole was immediately happy. Say thank you with a smile. Mrs. Lixiana, I almost forgot that you can now lie in bed with His Highness Orexo. Then he used the power to insert the city on Rihanna's head. Rihanna's face is aggressive. But Nicole explained with excitement that the ladies in heaven would put orange flowers in their hair when they are preparing to be newly married night. Spoken. Ladiana, who was drinking the second glass of water, sprayed out. On the other side, Orexio sat on the throne of the hall. As usual, the sinful creatures are judged. The servants handle the bloody scene in an orderly manner. Just then, Elf Nicole came to report. Looking at the scene in front of you, said Your Highness tremblingly. Ms. Lixiana drank water today. Hearing this, Orexio's eyes turned cold. If you say he only drank water, then disappear from my eyes immediately. Hualuo Nicole was so scared that she turned into her body instantly. Run away. It seems that this human girl has completely aroused His Highness Orsha's interest. He refuses food, only rely on holy water to maintain life. If it wasn't my healing ability, he's probably dead. Hiding behind huge stone pillars. The dam is cowardly and weak. Hear his heart. Orexo said coldly, I know you are hiding there. If you want to survive, just show up. Hualo Gino hurriedly jumped out from behind the stone pillar. I'm just passing by. His Royal Highness. Orshu stood up. The tone became colder. I want to punish you first. Find out why you decided to pass by. Gino was so scared that he came out of his body, but I still mustered up the courage to ask softly to the man who had already walked in front of him, do you really want that human woman to live? Orsha didn't answer. I just sighed silently. Come again and pour a glass of wine slowly. The strong Gino continued to talk about His Royal Highness. I don't think it is a good idea to let a mortal drink a holy water with your essence. I urge you to think about it again. Just then, Orsha, who had been staring at the cup with his head down, suddenly looked up at Gino. The two looked at each other instantly. Gino-san screamed in pain. Oh, he quickly covered his eyes with his hands. I feel my soul is disappearing. His Royal Highness, please spare me. His Royal Highness, do you really want me to die? Look at the loneliness of crying. Olian shot his head refreshingly. Have a leisurely sip of wine. He said that the human girl could look at me. After the words, a certain elf whose eyeball was missing was subconsciously answered. Whether he can look at your eyes is not important. We have to kill him first. Wait, Chino reacted suddenly. Did you just say he looked into your eyes? His soul is intact. That's right, Orexio said with great interest. That's why. I want him to live, even if I want to force him to eat. Don't you find this interesting? Suddenly the man's eyes turn cold. The face begins to shine. Disappear in an instant. Ginoa stared blankly at the falling wine glass. Have no idea what happened. Just because a human girl likes Shanhua, the almighty Sun Prince filled the entire palace with stop shuttle grass. Also take the opportunity to push the girl. Put him on the favorite stopwood grass. Lean down and press it up. Raise his chin overbearingly. Gently kissed the girl's forehead. Comfort the girl's panic. Then slowly approached his red lips. It instantly seized all his air. It seems like time has stopped at this moment. Only two hearts beat violently. Until Lishiana is about to breathe. Orexio left. The air full of hormones made her heart mess. The little face suddenly turned red. Sweet interaction between the two. Blind as single dogs. But not long ago. Radiana also jumped down from the sky with determination. Prepare life for freedom. Orsha, who was closely watching him, instantly found out. Get in time to catch him steadily. At this time, Ori is really angry. Sneer. Said lightly what I want to tell you. Even if your body falls, it is completely broken. I can also let you go back to life. After saying that, he brought the girl back to the heavenly palace. Put on the bed. Then get a bag of fruit next to the bed. Hand it to the girl. Speak cold words in a gentle tone. Resurrection is a rather painful process. Remember this. God, Lishiana heard this. The trembling little hand took the fruit. The huge fear suddenly swept the whole body. Oh, I want to die, I can't die. I can no longer make choices for myself. Looking at the trembling girl. Orexo thinks he hasn't realized his fault yet. Keep speaking, I know when this happened. That daffodil is not at home. Speaking of this, Orsho paused. Raise your hand and gently caress the air. The girl's pupils trembled in the next second. A scene of separation of hands flashed before my eyes. Only then did he understand. The god in front of him had such cruel means. But he could still smile and tell her now to tell me. Why don't you eat fruit? If you don't eat, your Narcissus elf will have the same fate. From that day, the girl was under stricter surveillance. Every morning, Nicole gives her food. Lishiana for Nicole. Put the food into your throat. Although forced, but he consumed God's food played. Rayana seems to have recovered health. Orexo will often see girls without informing them in advance. Then every time, Nicole will show its true form in fear, then disappear. Lishiana endured Orizio's ruthless smile, greeting with him. Until it's time to go to bed. Orsha seems to be satisfied with this dull interaction. For 2 centuries, he has been avoiding any form of contact with others. Because of his cursed blessing, the soul of the person he looks at will wither. But Lishiana is different. He's afraid of him. But his soul is intact. Plus he can't understand his thoughts. Orsha was finally able to enjoy some peace with another person. He allowed him to shed a few tears. If he tries to jump again, he knew he would save him again and again. He even considered giving him eternal life. However, one problem is that he lacks endurance. Thinking of this or sighed Reshiana. You go to sleep, my highness. But the girl who was lying down obediently tightened her mouth aggrievedly. Force yourself to close your eyes. Warning myself that I must sleep. Actually I don't want to, but I'm very curious. Suddenly the girl opened her eyes secretly. Why does the Sun Prince keep me alive? The sleepy Lishiana thought about it. Still not asleep. I sat up in pain. Sure enough, nothing happened all day. Then falling asleep is so boring. Just then, Nicole walked in. See Lishiana get up. Smiling, saying, are you awake? Your highness has gone out hunting. Do you want me to take a shower for you? Just eat something first. Today's figs are sweet and fresh. Orizio begins to indulge in increasing Lishiana's sleep time. She said this was the only way she survived in the heavenly palace. But it will put Lishiana in a lie. Only the holy water can awaken him from confusion. I feel dizzy. Trouble Nicole. Is there anything I can help? Hearing this, Nicole asked in confusion, Lady Lishiana, do you feel bored? Do you feel bored? Would you like to dance with me? Or do you want to sing? No, I want to work. I don't care what the job is. Cleaning, wiping fruit. I am willing to do anything. Please, I have to do something. If I do not. As she spoke, the girl paused. Grudge your teeth tightly. In her heart, she continued to think, I'm going crazy. Nicole explained to Lady Luciana. Ladies of royal blood do not work. But I do not have royal blood. Nicole looked completely confused. Kenning, as His Highness's companion. It's just like an emperor. Before the words were finished, Nicole suddenly screamed. Ah! Shocked to the extreme, she instantly turned into a droplet. She disappeared before Luciana. At the same time, Aurelio appeared at the doorway. He was wearing his usual radiant smile. You're awake, Lei, Tiana Wenyan. The girl smiled awkwardly. She didn't say anything. She secretly thought that he seemed to really enjoy watching my reaction. Seeing this, Erexio walked over. He gently asked, do you have something on your mind? Nothing at all. Is that so? I hate liars. Luciana drew back. The girl hesitated for a moment. In the end, she still said, yes, I want to know if there's any work to be done. Horatio was a bit taken aback. He didn't quite understand the girl's thoughts at first. So I asked if there was work. Yes, there is work. Can you give me something to do? Your Highness, my hands are very skillful. Give me some paper rushes. I can weave a sturdy basket or box. The girl is so adorable. How charming she is. Couldn't help but reach out with an evil hand to touch the girl's head. Chuckled softly. How interesting the paper rush is. Then lifted the girl's chin. Gazed intently into her eyes. Slowly began to speak. But, Luciana, you don't need the paper rush. You don't need to do any work either. I will always provide you with everything you need. So all you need to do is stay put. That's your job. Looking at the domineering man in front of her, Lediana silently thought, here he comes again, looking at me with those crazy eyes. Yet it flows with indescribable sadness and cruelty. Just sit tight and wait for me. That's your job. This is what you need to do. You are mine. I'm your reason for existence. You can do whatever you want. But why is he so unhappy? Gino, hiding at the door of the palace, could not understand at all. Just then, Gino found Nicole in the distance looking for something in the paper shuttle grass. So he shouted. How are you human women? Nicole was shocked by a sudden voice, sweating cold. You scared me. You mean, Luciana. The lady watched the scenes coming towards her step by step. But he got up and hesitated to say that she was very good. Who would have thought that a mortal could be safe and sound in Tiangong? At this time, a mess in Nick's brain. He said weakly, maybe he didn't do very well. Hearing this, Gino looked shocked. Did he condescend to say such things to you? What exactly makes him so unhappy? Nick's weak answer. Things are like this, but I haven't finished speaking. Just interrupted by Orshaw. You must be Nicole. Words Cone is scared to sweat and sweat, turning his head stiffly, shouting His Highness. Gino, who was standing beside him, also spoke tremblingly and said to His Highness. I almost had a heart attack. But Olian's eyes are cold, staring coldly at Nicole. So presumably, you must not cherish your life. Nicole shivered. His Royal Highness, I don't know what you are talking about. Ori dragged his chin with interest. You dare to appear in front of me after taking Linglong. To stop yourself from thinking about Rayanna. Too presumptuous. It turns out that Linglongmu is a spiritual shield made of sulfur, old gold and ancient magic. Users can temporarily block Orexio's thoughts. Their souls will be safely away from them. Orshaw's dark stare at classical Chinese Nicole shed tears of fear. Tremblingly explained that I had no choice. His Royal Highness, I just worry that His Royal Highness will worry about Mrs. Rayanna. Orshaw sneered and worried. How dare you say such a thing? Listening to the man's extremely cold words, the two elves at the scene were suddenly shocked. And at this moment, Olian was thinking that I should kill him. No, if that human girl finds that the daffodils are dead, he will faint again. I finally understand why I've been so annoyed these days. Thinking of this, Orixer raised his hand sharply. Twan blue flames ignite from the palm of the palm. Nicole looked at the dark blue flame in front of him. Lost the soul. The eyes were scattered and opened by mouth. Muttered to himself. Nicole, feels very sorry for Mrs. Luciana. I am worried that he may jump down from the balcony at any time. I feel sad for Mrs. Rayanna. He was forced to eat. Sometimes it spits everything out. He can't even risk his way out of the palace. Because His Highness has blocked every entrance. I hope I can help. But Lord Gino warned me. If I annoy your Highness, he will burn my home. Mrs. Luciantonet is unhappy. He was frightened by His Highness the Third Prince. But I'm still forcing myself to keep smiling. Nicole said. The body is backwards. Fluttering in the paper parking groove. Looking at the man with a bad expression in front of him. Gino asked weakly if this was the reason for the thunderstorm last month. Have human women got angry about Mao Ning? Orshaw didn't answer. Just tell Gino while walking. Erashes the memory of the daffodil. Get me some paper shuttle. Gino of classical Chinese quickly glanced at Aole and smiled. Ask your Highness in confusion. Do you want more papyrus? Yes, he must fill his entire room. Your Highness, what's going on with this obsession with human girls? Your family has been asking if you have lost your child. And I'm in a dilemma now. That's the case with your Highness. Why don't you visit the palace tomorrow? Your Highness, please tell me what reason to visit. Go and show them the evidence. Prove that I finally brought someone to my bed. On the other side, Luciana sat on the balcony. Look up and stare at the bright sunshine he yearned for. Behind him is responsible for monitoring his maid. He thought quietly. Maybe one day, I am in the end, will be like them. Living like a walking corpse. I've been fighting hunger all my life. I used to just want to have a sip of water, but thirsty and lose consciousness. Only rely on the grass on the ground to survive. Strangely, the situation is very different now. I have a comfortable bed to lie down. Delicious food and drinks within reach. Why are I still looking for a reason for alive? Free God. I don't want to just live. I want freedom. This is something a slave can never desire. When my mother was a child, you gave me false hope. I resent you for this. Luciana. One day you will be free. I will pray for you even after I die. May you be able to experience everything in my life. Like a bright light in the dark. You're wrong, mother. I'm right here. A vibrant voice interrupted Lixiana's thoughts. Look at this lady Lixiana. Guess what Nicole brought to you? Nicole holds a ball of perilla grass. I'm writing to praise me. Praise me, but I don't have the happiness I expected. Just said with a worried look, but Nicole, if your highness finds that you have brought me a perilla grass, you will have my permission. Hearing Horatio's voice, Lixiana turned to look. The little face opened his mouth with surprise. There is no sound. Just watching the man's eyes blankly. Orexio stands in the sun, laughing with a bright face. You want him, don't you? Paper shuttle is obviously said to be useless, but still brought the paper shuttle grass to the girl. Lixiana see this scene. Also foggy water. Why did you bring me so much paper shuttle? Before he could ask, Orshao can't hold back anymore. Lixiana, how do you feel? Looking at the man's bright smile as usual, the girl looked confused, forced to think that this was a job arranged for him. So he bowed and bowed to express his gratitude, but I didn't hear the response. Then he glanced at the man secretly, just saw Orexio frowned and was not satisfied. The girl was so scared to tears. I thought to me in my heart, should I say something else? Seeing this, Orexio decisively extended his evil hand, gently held the girl's cheek. Wipe him tears carefully. Say softly when you express your gratitude. You should smile. But when he heard this, Lixiana cried even more and more sadly. At this moment, even the all-round sun prince cannot be applied. I could only move my hand away from the girl's face at a loss. Opening coldly Lixiana. You said you want to live. Lixiana of classical Chinese was shocked in an instant. Said tremblingly, can you say it again? No, I mean yes. I hope to survive. Orshao tilted his head playfully. It's strange to say in confusion. Those who want to live. I usually ask for my life. Spoken. Just a plop. Reshiana was already trembling and kneeling on the ground. His royal highness. I beg you. Please end my life completely. Watching the girl's unexpected performance, Horatio was angry and laughed. Brother, do you really want to die? Catch the girl's shoulders. Throw her on the paper shuttle. In the shocked gaze of Lixiana, lean down and press it up. As I told you before, I pay great attention to etiquette. After all, I am the Sun Prince with golden light. The girl is completely panicked now. Hurry up and wait. Your Highness, I know you are kinder than you look on the surface. You are gentle and kind. The classical Chinese man laughed at my mom. If you let me kill you, I will immediately let you become my woman here. I know this is for women like you. It will be more painful than death. Of course you can ask me to spare you for your life. If you do, during the period when I had you, I will do my best to save your life. That way you can be my woman forever. I can see that the thinking in your head is rotating. Ritoshiana, if you really want to die, you won't fall into deep thought. After saying that, Orexio raised her chin overbearingly, slowly approaching her red lips. It instantly seized all her air. It seems like time has stopped, until Lixiana is about to breathe. Orexio is reluctant to leave, looking at the red face, panting girl. She said a little funnily a kiss. You're so tired. Rayana didn't speak. I just feel my heart is about to jump out of my throat. The body is also on fire. So Ori Xiaoro said that it will be here today. You need to become stronger, only to bear me. Speaking of a little hand that pulled the girl, put it on her mouth. Bite and take out the pure white potsi that has long been ready. Drop the bright red blood up. Immediately instructed Gino to the maid to the side. Bring this to my father's palace. Then he kissed the girl's palm as a treasure. Let her rest well. Disappeared in front of the girl soon. Lai Rishianai lying on the paper shuttle with a shameful face. He only realized this time. The servants were standing by their side, watching the intimacy of the two. Wait, did Nicole see it too? How should I face him later? But before Lixiana could continue thinking about it, Nicole, who is surviving for a full-level survivor, appears. Sorry Lixiana. His madam suddenly appeared. You're okay. When the lady heard this, Lixiana blushed and shed tears of gratitude. He didn't see us. It's so good. The next day, Gino takes Orexio to lose his childlikeness. Standing at the entrance of the palace, waiting uneasy. Zhao Qian. I know it will come this day. Soon the solemn and gorgeous palace gate slowly opened. The respectful voice sounded. Gino, the attendant from Tezcar, paid tribute to His Majesty Saruman, the Son of the Sun, on behalf of His Highness Orshalman. Please give me a visit. His Majesty Thor signaled the others in the hall to retreat. Then he asked, who is the girl who got Or's innocent child? Gino was so scared that he was sweating in a cold sweat. He clenched his hands and said that he was a human. Your Majesty's palace is silent. A long time later, the majestic voice of Thor rang again. Did he bring back the human sacrifices he offered to him? Is he a priest with a special ability? Is she the legendary woman? A series of questions made Gino confused. Please talk about it subconsciously. Your Majesty then reacted immediately. Hanley explained that she is definitely not a legendary figure. She seems to be a priestess with the least power. I believe he has nothing to do with the legend. Your Majesty, you should not believe that His Royal Highness Olian intends to rebel you. My son Olian is still valuable to me, even though he is arrogant and rude. Noa yes. His Majesty changed him. Make sure everyone treats him as the communication flower of the palace. The classical Chinese asked puzzledly. Sorry. You don't want me. Before he finished speaking, he was interrupted by Thor. I'm sure Orshaw will make a brief appearance. Then save Tezcar. That's very likely. His Majesty during their stay. Others must believe that this human girl is from the palace. Once Orexio loses interest in him, we can deal with him. Before that, I'll seal this up. I saw. Rumen had no intention of going to fight with my third son. He is just a slave to a human race, but he was imprisoned in a heavenly palace by an almighty god. Become his cage bird's object. Not only did he lose his first kiss, it is difficult to save even the first night, since the two have kissed the last time. Rayana was asleep for a full week. This period, The originally broken and weak body was recovered. Even the Tanu brand, who was injured since childhood, no longer exists. The smooth skin in front of the eyes makes the girl understand. All this is because of Orexo. Looking at Nicole, who was worried about her sleep, Lixiana hesitated for a moment. Sorry, Nicole spoke. I'm a little hungry. Can you get me some food? Hearing this, Nicole's face turned red with excitement. Of course I will give you some foods right away. Lixiana, who quickly solved the problem of 2 large pots of food, stretched her waist satisfied. Thinking secretly, I don't know why. I feel so refreshing. Just a kiss. It makes me feel so energetic. Thinking of this, he suddenly laughed at himself. Do you know, Nicole, I am not a priest. I was actually a slave before I came here. The mark of slaves always reminds me that I am the lowest level of society. But he disappeared with a simple kiss. Feels so short. Nicole, a classical Chinese, has a disagreement. Don't say that. Mrs. Lixiana. Your life is never short. In the heavenly palace, except for the gods, everyone is equal. This means your past is meaningless here. And no matter what others think, His Highness Orexio chose you as her woman. This means everyone must respect. Hearing this, Lixiana was just right. Turn around and look at Nicole. I saw Nicole like an angel, smiling as bright as the sun. You are my service too. The First Lady. You're special to me. I'm very happy to be here for you. Mrs. Lixiana's warm words completely melted her steely determination. Never experienced such warmth, Lixiana couldn't help but feel so warm. Tears of happiness shed. At this moment she was completely relieved. Say to yourself secretly you must think carefully. Lixiana, this may be your last lucky chance. Looking up at the bright sun girl. Suddenly Aori's murmur in your ears, you need to become stronger. Only to bear me. She turned around suddenly. But I didn't see the man. But Rayanna smiled slightly. If my life depends on Prince Ol Shao anyway, then I will do it according to God's instructions, and make full use of what I get. Then he walked to the paper shuttle bush given by Orexio. Be prepared to play your role. After his busy schedule, in a long time, the palace of Tesca was covered with paper shuttle grass. Orexio and Gino were stunned. The energetic Lixiana has been weaving baskets since she woke up. Nicole kept asking her to rest. She doesn't want to. Orexio, who learned about the situation, said dissatisfied that you had wasted all your energy on this boring thing. Gino, who was standing beside him, was so angry that he was crazy. It was a mess. How could I do this stubborn human woman into an elegant and delicate fairy? But the words are just falling. The short-supported Orexio sealed her mouth with her divine power. At this moment, men's emphasis on sex over friends is fully demonstrated. Watching the girl with vitality welcome his arrival, Ori Shao is a little dare to believe it. Passionately spoke Dao Tashiana. I know. Your Highness, you are the third of the great sun god. A sun values etiquette more than anything else. Prince of the Sun, follow your request. I've been doing my tasks, according to my requirements. I told you, my hand is very smart, and I can make solid things. Your Highness, you said you should do your best. Hearing this, Oresha suddenly stretched out his hand to the girl. Roshin said, why not let me see it? Classical Chinese Lixiana quickly handed over the basket she had made. Orsho holds a basket with a stern face, aggressive. I said again, I said again, I said. Give me your hand. Your hands are dirty. After speaking, just use the power to clean up the girl. Feel Orexio's concern. Lixiana blushed. But the ambiguous atmosphere has not lasted for 2 seconds. The sound of Nicole killing the wind well comes from the side. He shouted anxiously to his highness. Master Gino is a bit wrong. After the words, both of them looked at Gino. Gino, whose mouth and nose were sealed, was about to suffocate. So Orexio waved decisively to remove the seal. Gino, who was free, was really angry. I thought I was suffocating. How could you do this to me? What can I do to make her look like a fairy from the palace? Looking at a certain elf who was rolling around at 360 degrees without dead corners on the ground, Lixiana expresses her gratitude happily. Gino, you're so good. Created a win for us. Thanks to your efforts. The paper weed is drying much faster. Nicole awkwardly agreed. It seems to be. Thank you, Lord Gino. Hearing this, Gino was so angry that he smoked. I can't stand it anymore. Now is not the time to weave a paper straw basket. But the girl refused straightforwardly. I have to do this. This is the job assigned to me by your highness. Gino was anxious to stomach short legs. Just want to snatch the good basket on reach in. What's wrong with you? Woman is right. Put her down. I am Rayanna. My name is not a woman. It's Raina. These words come out. Ori's pupils shrink slightly. Shocked by a girl who was extremely strong today. A certain prince and a certain elves are dying in place. Whisper. What's wrong with him? What's the meaning? His Royal Highness, you said he had been in bed for a week. He is indeed. You won't think something is going on with his head, right? Orshaw didn't answer. Express the default. The woman who had died in the same way changed in front of him. Also obsessed with weaving paper shrink straw baskets. But he seems to be much happier than before. Rayanna said vibrantly. Do you have any other tasks to give me? As long as you say a word. I promise to do my best. Looking at the girl with a basket in front. Gino's anger itchy teeth. Very good, Ms. Reed Anna. What instrument do you play? The girl shakes her head. Can you recite poems? Can you sing or dance? Continue to shake your head. God, what can you do? As you see, I can weave a strong paper shuttlecock basket. The volcano that was painted Luigino finally erupted completely at this moment. I want you to remember everything written on these scrolls. Stop fiddling with those stupid paper shuttle straw baskets. Shinogi's paced back and forth late at night. This doesn't work at all. He can't play musical instruments. Can't dance or sing. No one will see him as a fairy. It seems that the priest of Eratter is not as long as I imagined. He is a slave. What is Gino? You say slaves. Gino is a bit unbelievable. Immediately flashed. Your Highness. Maybe it would be better to visit the magician. You have to climb up a dangerous mountain to get to the magician. You definitely don't want to take that weak human woman. We have no choice. Deboji only has 1 month left. I'd rather choose danger. I don't want everyone to find out that you are sleeping with a human woman. Hit by lightning. Orizio thoughtful. Suddenly I thought we would receive guests from the palace tomorrow. Has the queen sent a traitor to be tried again? Yes, I hope you leave early tomorrow morning. I don't want them to smell the human scent of Luciana tomorrow. The beloved girl left for the first time. The men around you can't stop missing. Want to post with her. But to avoid the discovery of the girl's human identity, eventually ended up tragic death. Orsho decided to let Gino take Luciana to Mount Call. Visit the world's most learned magician. Not far from the Tesca Palace. 3 people are crossing mountains and ridges in a difficult situation. Who Ginoa, who usually lacks exercise, complains breathlessly. I should let your highness build a cart for us. Mentioned Orsho. Luciana suddenly remembered this morning. Your highness has also visited her. She suddenly wanted to know why she came to see her. Looking at the elves in front of you who are exhausted. Luciana thinks what I should do for his highness. The teacher opens his mouth. What's wrong with disturbing Gino? You can climb onto my back. Classical Chinese. Gino is shocked. Subconsciously said I'm old. Not suitable for this kind of thing. Then he reacted again. Said proudly, but for you, Ms. Luciana. I can be an exception once. Soon the 3 of them approached their destination. Gino pointed to the big stone in front of him. I said happily that it's this place. Very good, Ms. Luciana. Then he couldn't wait to jump off the girl's back. The first time I heard praise from Gino. Luciana felt a sense of pride. I saw her hands folded. Begin to be grateful for the new life given by God. I like this. I can hear the sound of the forest. The leaves rustle. Bugs twitter. Even the wind blowing seems to have life. Just then, Gino, who rushed to the front, turned around and shouted, why are you so slow? We're here soon. Nicole responded quickly. Then I can't help spitting up. She sometimes shows like a grumpy old man. Hearing this, Luciana wondered Nicole. How old is Gino? I'm not sure. But I'm sure she's at least 500 years old. At this time at the age of 500, Luciana sees a strange creature appearing not far away. The upper body is human. The lower body turned out to be a horse. I thought I was wrong. Rub your eyes. Still no change. It turns out that this person is the magician they are visiting this time. I was also a little shocked when I saw Luciana. When I told Gino, I heard that His Royal Highness chose his first partner. I thought he would choose a person like Afri Fairy. Please tell me seriously. Is it a human girl? Gino said kindly to Master Magic Master. This is why we come to Janning. Lucky is. She is much smarter than looking. And she is also good at weaving grass shrinking baskets, said the magician a little surprised and said. The basket then stepped on the ground with his feet heavily. In an instant, a huge goat monster appeared in the air. I scared the 2 girls to stay in place. Seeing this, the magician said, I just told you to be careful of the goat monsters in this area. You don't want to be eaten alive. Gino said weakly to the magician. Didn't you understand that His Royal Highness wants to give chastity to this woman? I just make a joke. Don't worry that you won't be hurt if you stay by my side. This is not very funny. Soon the magician took them to a cave. This is where he lives. Just arrived at the door. A few people were deeply shocked by the huge collection of books in front of them. And the magician who disappeared as soon as he entered the cave appeared at this time. You must be very hungry. Please eat whatever you want. If you don't mind, I'll go back to continue working. After saying that, he turned around and left without waiting for a response. Watching the magician leave, Rayanna lamented that he was a very good person. All promises are transformed. What AF asterisk CK, we traveled through mountains and rivers to see him here. He only provided us with beer and deer meat. Nicole picked up the beer and joined the conversation. I heard that he is the smartest wise man. I've never seen so many scrolls. It's amazing. Gino's mouth was stuffed with deer meat at this time. Hearing this, he still doesn't forget to brag about yourself. I've mastered so much knowledge. The strong Reshiana covered her mouth and laughed. Gino asked why you laughed inexplicably. Luciana answered that you were pretty cute just now. After the words, the face of a certain elf suddenly became mature. What did you say? Nicole on the side is also a god-striking Lord Gino. Your face is blushing like a cherry. Just then, Luciana accidentally swept to the desk beside her. I saw a bunch of messy tools on the table. I couldn't help but sigh that the magician must be very busy. Gino, who was eating crazy, responded that it was indeed. He may look a little rude and weird, but he is undoubtedly the smartest scholar in the world. Gino, who had enough food and drink, lay down directly, lazy and said that he might not have time to pay attention to me now, while he is away. Let's take a break. Classical Chinese. Nicole panicked. The conditions here are too simple. He was afraid that Luciana would not have a good rest. So he frowned and said, Lord Gino, you must be kidding. The magician certainly won't want us to spend the night here. Bar Radiana picked up the dead branches with great interest. Nicole, I'm fine. But before going to bed, I still have something to do. At the same time, the Queen's conspiracy is underway in Tescar's palace. Orexio looked at the envoy from the palace in front of him. He spoke expressionlessly and said, you said he betrayed the Queen. This is Periclin, my mentor. My good friend's father is also. It's clearly a spotless hand. But Orexio saw blood in his hands. He suddenly burst into laughter. Hot tears flowed from the corners of your eyes. With a breeze blew. Orsha's face began to shine. Just a whoosh. I came to the room of Rayanna. Seeing the empty palace, he remembered that Luciana went to Clay Mountain's Philosopher's Stone Code. So he gathered his power. Coming to the girl instantly. Looking at the sleeping girl. Orexo thought of Luciana in disappointment. Would you dare not look me in the eyes like everyone else? The turbulent emotions are rushing to my heart. Orsha hugs the girl next to her. Snuggled in his chest with satisfaction. Even if there is only a moment, I want to rest in your arms, too. Human girl managed to determine the love of the Prince of the Sun. The vicious queen tried to break them up at all costs. At this moment in the garden of Povius Empire, the queen is inviting fairies from various families. We heard that His Highness the Third Prince finally lost his chastity. I want to know what sacred bloodlines he has combined with. Fairies are talking about it, thinking about the queen, it must be known. But the queen sneered. Even if he is a descendant of God, what's the matter? Orshaw will only marry the woman we chose for him. As he said that, he glanced at the girl beside him. Do you disagree? Tara was pounced by the queen. Tara is right for a moment. Then he said quietly, why don't you see it with your own eyes during the Empire Festival? What is important is how your highness thinks about this. After the words came, the queen raised the wine glass in her hand. I hope everyone here can join us. Wish Prince Orexio truly has the first woman. The shining treasures of the Povius Empire finally made a choice. The banquet ends soon. The queen knocked on the table in dissatisfaction, scheming Tara to follow. Immediately take Tyra to his palace. Just arrived indoors. Tara threw the crown on her head toward the marble floor. If His Highness chose the fairy from the Palos family, I won't feel so uncomfortable. How can he give chastity to an unknown generation? Tyra remembers my words. Ori, I will marry you. You have nothing to worry about. The queen picked up a glass of wine. Sit on the sofa. Oath said, at present, Olian is just a loyal dog around Seoul. And I will do my best to make him belong to you. Radiana, who was held by Orexo on the other side, slept for a night. I had a fever the next day. Nicole is anxious to turn around. What to do, Lord Gino? It's all because of you. He must be sick because he carried you up the mountain all the way. Extremely angry, screaming in a panic. I didn't let him carry me. At this moment, the magician who heard the movement appeared. What's the matter? Then Luo and I can quickly speak. Please help us. Let's help us. Master Magician. Then the magician stepped forward and touched the girl's forehead. Then the diagnosis is over. This is fatigue. Give him some hibiscus tea with cinnamon. He will get better soon. The strong Nicole is a bit aggressive. Are you sure? The magician nodded. I'll prepare tea. I probably have some herbs here. As he said that, he turned around and left. Unexpectedly, I caught a glimpse of the bookshelf beside me. Suddenly shocked. What's the situation? Looking at the well-organized books in front of you, the magician finally understood what happened to Lishiana's illness. So he said to Nicole that when our smart little girl recovered, you can start the course. Lishiana, who drank flower tea, woke up soon. Wait, it's raining. Nicole, who heard the movement, was happy. Mrs. Lishiana, how do you feel? Your fever looks like it should go away. The first sentence that Lishiana said when she woke up was where His Highness was. Nicole answered that I'm sure she's in her palace. We arrived at the magician's cave yesterday. Do you still remember? Carishiana seemed to feel Orizu's existence last night. Could it be just a dream? Thinking of this girl, she sat up in pain. Where is Lord Nicole Gino? Classical Chinese Nicole said with disgust. Who cares where that vicious old guy is? Gino, who had just come in, heard it. Why do you want me? Gino didn't care to wipe the rain from his body. Walked towards Lishiana. Give you Ms. Rayana. The girl asked in confusion. What's this? Gino looked arrogant. I brought you your favorite purple shuttle grass. Remember you asked your highness for a mountain of purple shuttle grass, right? Nicole is speechless. Why did you bring the purple shuttle grass? It would be better if it was an apple. Just then, a voice came from outside the door. Is Ms. Zion Lishiana still sleeping? Nicole heard this and suddenly felt a little. He finally remembered that the magician said that he was going to start class. So he quickly grabbed the girl's hand and brought it to the magician. But the scene in front of him really shocked Lishiana. I saw the magician turn a few silver threads into a silver bowl in a few swishes. It's so amazing. Tiana opened her mouth in amazement. Can all put an egg on it? The magician turned to look at Lishiana. Do you want to try it? But don't wait for the girl to answer. Gino's frowning. He said angrily, I want you to turn her into a goddess. Not a blacksmith. The magician is not at all. Let them say casually, it's nothing to do with this. And the world will regard Ms. Lishiana as the descendant of goddess Karlk. They will realize that he learned to make metalworkers from you. Hearing this, Gino waved his hand helplessly. First of all, I'm not very interested in these. Secondly, Kok is the stone goddess. Nicole next to her was still thinking with her little face bulging. Is there anything wrong with the stone? The magician also ignored Gino's words. Said little girl to Lishiana, who said to her face that I want to learn. Do it with me. Okay, this is the case first. This is less than 0.1 second. A lifelike silver flower appeared in the girl's hands. The two elves on the scene were stunned. Instantly transformed into Lishiana's #1 fan. Wow, so beautiful. Really strong. The magician laughed out his white teeth with satisfaction. I patted the girl on the shoulder and visited me last night. I'll do my best. Live up to her expectations. Hearing this, Lishiana suddenly froze in place. The little face turned red. Was your highness here last night? So that's not a dream. Human girls finally realized that they are timid to the Prince of the Sun. But the god who loved her was delayed and did not appear. Since the last time Orexo hugged Lishiana to fall asleep. Already interested. Then I never came again. Today is the day for 3 to set off and go back. The man still didn't show up. At this moment, it's raining outside the cave. The magician brought it. A box of dried amber. So that they can go down the mountain in the pouring rain and keep warm. Gino scratched his head a little embarrassedly. It turned out that he insisted on going down the mountain today. Because of the heavy rain for a week. Make Gino very worried about Erikson. You should know that only Orizio's emotions can directly affect the weather. 3 people walking on the muddy road. Looking at the bad weather in front of you. Ginoa couldn't help but worry more. I want to know why your highness is so depressed. He knew we were going back today. Lishiana of classical Chinese is a little confused. Prince Orisi is in a low mood. But what does his emotions have to do with the weather? A mortal like me will never understand the gods. But even so, I still want to know more about your highness. and why he wants me to live forever. At this moment, several lightnings suddenly fell. Nicole was so scared that she cried. Gino frowned. I am even more worried in my heart. His Royal Highness just doesn't know when to stop. Then reminded me to be careful. The road is slippery and then rushed in the rain. 2 girls follow closely. Soon a few people arrived at the entrance of Tescar's palace. Gino's face was anxious. Nicole takes Ms. Lishiana to the tower. I'm going to talk to His Highness. After saying that, he turned around and ran away. Leave 2 people in place. Nicole, who returned to God, came to the tower with a difficult pace with Rihanna. Mishiana absent-mindedly looking at the temple where Orexio is located outside the window. But what caught my eye was a bloody glimmer. What kind of light is that? See if Nicole over there. I don't know if His Royal Highness is wrong. Hearing this, Nicole comforted him. Maybe it was. But it may also be because of the light emitted by the stone wall. Let's hurry up. Mrs. Lishiana. Usually when it rains, we can. Don't think too much when you see it. At the same time, Gano's speed rushed to the temple where Oreo was located. The bright red on the ground undoubtedly made him even more anxious. His Royal Highness Prince Ori. Where are you? He picked up a servant who fell in the blood pool. These fools. Have you really lost consciousness? Where did your highness go? Suddenly, the corner of the main master's eyes swept a familiar corner of his clothes. Take a closer look. The man lying in the pool of blood in front of him was Orexio. Then he immediately rushed over with his short legs. A healing aperture quickly appeared on Orexio. Orexio's eyelashes trembled. Open your eyes slowly. The dark pupils were revealed. I saw the person in front of me. It's you. Gino then sat up in a daze. Gino was exerting his divine power. While speaking, Your Highness, keep going like this. You can only let the Queen mercy. You must meet His Highness the Prince immediately. He is a purely blooded prince. This will definitely be solved. At this moment, Orexio's whole body was filled with deep sadness and helplessness. I can't change anything when I go to him. Today is not a trial, but I killed them all without hesitation. So when you have a chance, must kill me. I'm a murderer. Watching Orsha in pain and self-blame, very uncomfortable and shed tears. You are not a murderer. You are the only almighty god of judgment in Povius. Please see your brother immediately. Saluz. Classical Chinese Aori shaman smiled helplessly. Then the face began to glow. Instantly disappeared. Only Gino sobbed in a low voice. Why did the Queen treat His Royal Highness like this? She just wants to live a peaceful life. On the other side, Lishiana looked at the rain getting heavier and heavier outside the magic cover. Worried about Jiao Nicole. Do you still want to go home? It's already late. Nicole was holding a cup of hot tea at this time. Walked towards Lishiana. It's raining heavily. Lord Gino asked me to stay here until the rain stopped. Hearing this, Lishiana said, what if the palace came down to visit us? I know you're afraid of him. Nicole of the classical Chinese is not panic. Your Highness won't come during this time. Rihanna is a bit. Said blankly. I see. But the man's extremely handsome face appeared in front of him. So Prince Orexo will not come to see me for the time being. But I don't know what. His heart was suddenly lost. It's so heavy under the rain. Explained that Prince Olian is in a bad mood. I wonder if he was so depressed because something happened in the temple. Gino looked so scared and worried. I don't know when it will start. I always can't help but think of His Royal Highness. The hot ratio when touching his body. Sparks when he met his lips and teeth. And the weight of his body when he pressed on me. Thinking of this, Lishiana couldn't help but cover her blushing cheeks. I want to know, when will your highness come back? Come here. The first time the Prince of the Sun and the human girl finally came. Just now. Oresh, who was cursed by the vicious queen and made a mistake, came to Lenitia. At this time, the Prince Saltus is reading a book focusing on. Suddenly a glimmer flashed behind me. Saltus sensed an abnormality. Turn your head and look. Is or shall you? I'll send a message before I say it. I can arrange someone to treat you well. But why do you always come in quietly like an abandoned ghost? A golden light flashed after the words. Orexio suddenly appeared in front of Saltus. Looking at the somewhat sluggish Orol, Saltus built a black curtain beside him. But how many people did you kill this time? Orisi answered. I don't remember. Saltus strode forward. Grasped Orexio's wrist. Less than 3 months before mass execution. But your hands are covered with blood. Are you crazy? This time Orexio didn't speak. Just looking at Saltus quietly with sad eyes. Seeing this, Saltus continued to ask that this was done by Queen Avalidia. So you need more than once to wash away the blood odor of your body. I have to ask Leniciato for some evolutionary water. In an instant, crystal clear tears flowed down Orizio's cheeks. Like a pearl with broken thread. Will things get better? Even Saltus's power doesn't work for me. Thinking of this, Orexio closed her eyes in pain. My hands are covered in blood. Somehow, he suddenly wanted to meet Lishiana. Open your eyes suddenly. Then came back to his senses. Thinking of Orexio with self-deprecating. You are a fool. In this case, I would even think of human women. At this time, Saltus brought a basin of purified water. He spoke with a worried face. You are the judge, the most critical. You're also the Sun Prince. And the Sun's son cannot be sentenced to death by those who should not be sentenced to death. If this continues, your sun power will be deprived. Your essence will slowly disappear. Unless you want to live in hell forever like the king of hell. By the way, I heard that you gave your innocence to a fairy. Which family did she come from? When I first heard this news, I thought you had joined the queen's power. This will never happen. Saltus continued saying you should accept Terra's proposal. Then consider the next action. Only in this way can you survive. That won't save me. Instead, the Tyros family will gain greater influence in the royal family. Speaking of this, Orsho paused and I'll ask you a question. Do you want Carly to inherit the throne? Saltus was stunned for a moment. No answer. So Orshao stood up and said, Dear brother, if Carly Gu ascends the throne, then there is no need to start a war. Because whether there is war or not, I will make Povius the ruins. Hearing this, Saltus frowned and could rule Lenitua. I was satisfied. You must know whatever our father, Thor, did. Those who resist him will be considered treason by the world. So don't waste time supporting me. Take good care of yourself. But Orexio curled her lips unconsciously and was happy to resist our father. Lixiana, who was sleeping on the other side, suddenly woke up by a shout. It hurts to get bouncing from the bed. The man is Gino. I saw her brought things on the list of magician. He said to Lixiana with a serious face and said you can start practicing. Lixiana is a little crazy. Are you sure you got the permission of His Royal Highness? Gino holds his chest with both hands. You can't dance, can't sing. So you should at least be proficient in handling silver crafts. And Nicole, what's wrong? I want you to read these poems to Ms. Lixiana when she was working. Then he turned his head and continued to say to Lixiana 15 days later. You will attend the Crescent Festival of the Empire as a fairy. But I'm a human. That's why you have to pretend to be a fairy. You should know that humans are not allowed to enter the Heavenly Palace. If anyone finds you are human, all three of us will be struck by lightning. Hearing this, Lixiana was shocked. This is even more serious than I thought. Then he asked what would happen next. Seeing that Gino didn't understand what he meant, Lixiana explains that I have deceived everyone. What happens after they believe I am a fairy? Hearing Gino's words for a while, I can't tell him after it's over. He will be burned to death, so he paused. His Highness will marry the woman he chose for him. Then you are free. The words of Lady Diana grabbed Gino's hand sharply. Great. Let Gino can't help shaking his body. Are you talking about true? What's the meaning? You said I will get freedom. Hearing this, Gino took out his hand, covered his mouth and coughed lightly. Yes, you may be free. These words come out. Radiana's face turned red with excitement. I promise to work hard. I'll start right away. 10 days later, Tesca Palace. Lixiana is diligently practicing silver crafts. Nicole is full of tired face. Mrs. Lixiana, can you remember these poems? Lixiana's face is confident. Sure, I think I remember at least 20 volumes of poems. Nicole then asked, can you recite these poems you remember? Lixiana closed her eyes after hearing this. Recited calmly. Whenever I see your face smiling, my heart is pounding. Just then, Nicole shuddered. Then the speed of light becomes the body. Disappeared from the spot. Lixiana, who didn't find any abnormality, is still memorizing the poem. Just a sneak peek at you. My heart ignited a flame. I can't do anything except you. See your bright smile. A nice familiar male voice rang. Lixiana was stunned for a moment. The nice sounds in the palace are still continuing. Makes my heart hurt. When I saw you, I don't know what to say. Your elegant eyelashes and sharp eyes. The song of Apollo is sang for you, my sweetheart, until you finish listening. Rayana returned to God. Turn around and look. His Royal Highness Aurian, who hasn't seen you for many days. Orexio looked at the girl he missed day and night. Talked about Lixiana. Have you decided to become a poetic blacksmith? Lixiana's face turned red. My heart began to pound involuntarily. Seeing the vivid silver flowers in the girl's hands, Orexio stepped forward and hugged the girl from behind. You've learned more talent than I thought. Then carefully lifted his injured right hand. Seriously said, but Lixiana, I don't want my belongings to be harmed. Then pull up the girl's hand. Put it on your face. So try to be more careful. Lixiana's face turned redder and I almost forgot about his domineering personality. What should he do if he takes all my tools? So the girl quickly pulled her hand back. Hide behind. Your Highness and the others will not cause any harm. I'll be more careful in the future. After all, everything I do is for you. Hearing this, Orexio turned around silently and sat on the sofa beside him. You keep going. We'll remain quiet. Girl is slightly shocked. You don't have to stop Rihanna suddenly. She doesn't want Orsha to discover. She wants to survive. At this moment, Orexo had fallen into his own thoughts. Thinking of what I said to my brother just now. I'm very happy to resist our father. Orsha's eyes became firm. Then the eyes flickered. Watch Rainy is back. Thinking secretly. On my way home. I have been thinking about her. Is it because he makes me feel at ease? It's still his fingertips covered with grass. He hurriedly wiped his mouth after eating the peaches. It's still the sweet fragrance that his skin emits when he pretends to be asleep. That's all those little things. When I recall those moments, my chaotic mind seems to be calmed down. Lixiana beside her absent-mindedly fiddling with the silver thread in her hand. I want to ask her, why has it rained so heavily these days? Why does she look so tired? But I dare not have these ideas. Because Nicole said, for marriage, the Prince of the Sun must lose innocence. This is a ritual. The Queen has always wanted to get His Highness the third prince to marry. She and the Peros family have been paying attention to His Highness. But in my mind, I involuntarily emerged showed the picture of Orshu's kiss last time. I want to be here today. You need to be stronger to bear me. Lixiana's little face turned red again. I don't know why she chose me, but maybe we're really popular tonight. Thinking of the girl's arm unconsciously touching the red paint on the side. Leah Diana, who was burned, couldn't help crying. Orashi's thoughts were pulled back. Lixiana, come to me. Girl was shocked. Then he hit his burned hand. Smiled kindly. I'm fine, just a minor injury. I smelled the burnt meat. Come over and smell. Lixiana had to drag her heavy steps to Orizo. Orizion carefully held the girl's hand. It looks painful. We must heal him immediately. As he said that, he kissed the wound. Just then, Orsha suddenly. There is a strange aura approaching. The royal envoy seems to have to pass here. It's so bad. They will surely smell human scent from his burns. I have to cover him with my breath. Looking at the unknown girl. Orsha spoke. Let's complete what we didn't finish last time. Regiana, the classical Chinese, suddenly blushed. You mean to do it here? Seeing this, Orexo picked up the girl. Look at him with a gentle look. You blush. Ritoshiana. Is the fire in the bellows too hot for your skin? No, it's because he didn't wait for him to finish his words. Orsha kissed him suddenly. Then he was placed on the bed. Lean down and press it up. Looking at Lixiana's overwhelmed face. Orsha stopped suddenly. Contrary to what I said, I think Rayana is not ready to bear it yet. Then he got up and prepared to leave. But Lixiana was anxious. Is there anything you don't like about your highness? I will do it as you say. She thought she wouldn't do it. Nicole and Gino could be in a death crisis. Oresho restrained his desires. Lixiana, I don't know what you're thinking, but now the words are not finished. The girl seems to be enlightened. I see. You hope I kiss you first. Orexio also lost her voice. Then a bad smile. Silently approached the girl. Good girl, are you sure you won't regret it? Lixiana let go of her hair. Close your eyes quickly. Looking at the girl with a firm face. Orexio's breathing gradually became rapid. Soon, she got closer to her red lips. Then as you wish. Prince of the Sun has been waiting for 200 years. Finally married with my beloved human girl. In the clear night sky, thunder roars. Never seen such a strange phenomenon. The loneliness looked out the window with some concern. What did your highness do? Just then, a golden light flashed by. Aware of the strange Gino turned around and looked at it. Suddenly shocked. Aurian appeared in front of her with a coma. Seeing this, Gino instantly burst out. What did you do to Ms. Lixiana? Put her down immediately. Olian carefully put the girl on the bed. Then we said faintly that we did what every man and woman would do. If Rihanna has become an eternal life, just be fine. Palorgino's scream immediately. What then stretched out your short and fat little hand to treat the girl. Before the new moon ends. Can't approach him. Orshaw wondered. What are you talking about? Gino continues to add. Can't hold hands. Can't kiss. No physical contact. After hearing this, Orshaw said a little dissatisfiedly. Are you giving me an order now? At this time, Gino had just finished checking for Lixiana. Can't hold it back for a while. Turn around and shout at Orexo. I knew it would be like this. Why haven't you eaten meat in the past 2 centuries? I know you are a flowering tree, but this is a bit out of control. Hearing this, Or's veins swelled up. He directly used his divine power to teach Gino a little lesson. Watching the thick black smoke coming out from Gino's pink head, still snorting coldly, then lift up a bunch of the girl's hair. The face became gentle instantly. No matter what they say, you're mine forever. On the other side, Queen Avalidia is leaning against the arms of the sun god Sol. When will His Majesty Carly come back? Since he left, our sign has changed. Thor picks up a glass of wine, said coldly. I can still hear the cry of the fairy he killed. The queen explained in a hurry. But it's all the fault of those women. Because they want to climb onto his bed. Hearing this, Sol still didn't let go. He also murdered a member of the royal family. Hearing this, the queen smiled charmingly. Your Majesty, you are right. It's all Carly's fault. But the biggest mistake of Your Majesty Carly is to inherit your beauty. We still have to bring him back. The Crescent Festival is almost here. Speaking of this, the queen couldn't help but clench her fists. Even Orshao comes. How can Callie my brother not participate? Thor looked serious. Due to Carly Ge's sinful sky, the Libra in the hall is seriously tilted. It takes at least 1,000 days to calm my anger. Watching the emperor who can't enter the oil and salt. The queen stood up from the sofa, facing a gift to Sol. Okay. If this is what you want, but I feel indignant. My son was exiled to the world, just because he killed a few women. Just then, the respectful voice of the attendant came from His Majesty Saruman. Saluz, Prince Ruman wants to see you. Let him come in. Soon Saltus appeared in front of Sol. Father, I hope you are all well. Then he greeted the queen with a kiss. The queen politely praised me, I heard. Due to your efforts, Lenatuya's land is becoming more and more beautiful. Seeing this, Thor frowned. The queen said coldly, you can leave. Then waved. A barrier was built around. Saluz, why did you come here suddenly? This is really not like you. Saltus answered. I'm here to discuss Orsho. Hearing this, Salma light slightly cool. If you want to discuss the judge, then I don't want to listen. I heard that Saltus was in a righteous heart. I still ask the dissatisfaction in my heart. Why don't you stop the queen? Orexia's mentor Barrackley is also on the list of those who was executed. Hero Salchkov. Saluz, you're so nice to that guy. You need to know that kindness has no help to maintain the balance of heaven. Due to the power of Orexio, Libra has lost his balance. This decision is to correct the balance of heaven. Hearing this, Saltus clenched his hand holding the corner of his clothes. But Orshaw is still the only one who is trustworthy. Then he asked Queen Avalidia in anger. Is it related to this matter? I heard that Sor's complexion was darkened down. The momentum of the whole body suddenly stern. I'm the sun god. Even if Sol, the sun and the moon no longer exist, this fact will never change. I will never change my natural life for my personal benefit. Do you want the goddess of fate to shorten your life? If what you said is true, I beg you to allow Carligo and Orexo to duel. Sali opens. Time has not arrived yet. Saltus retorted after hearing this. You want to give Carly another chance. He killed innocent lives impulse. This will also break the balance, isn't it? Thor hesitated. But Orexo is not qualified to be my successor. Father, if you say that, then I have no right to be your eldest son. You know very well that some people don't admit the facts of my wife and my wife. Your mother is just a fairy. But she is the descendant of all around Zeus. You are completely different from ours. Her mother is a humble human. When did you become so timid, Your Majesty? Because of your order. Orshaw's hands were covered in blood. I heard that Salcha's blue tendons rose up. Saluz, you are so courageous. He was born for judgment. If Orexo did not play his role in trial, the balance of heaven has long been broken. But he is still your son. Sali's son answered. He is also a god we cannot control. If he can't bear the burden given to him by fate, his existence is just a curse. I don't want you to mention Orshaw to me again. Saltus in classical Chinese feels powerless. But I still want to fight for fairness for Orshaw in the end. It is known. If Orexo makes up his mind, he may burn the heavenly palace at any time. The first time I was injected with solar energy by the Sun Prince. Human girl can't stand it and faint. Wake up again. Lixiana was startled and sweated. The pain in her body made her sure that everything that happened last night was true. Looking at his glittering body, the girl was shocked. Then I came back to my senses. Have I now gained eternal life? Just then, Nicole walked in. Lady Lixiana, how are you? Okay? You're so quiet. I'm going to call Lord Gino here. How do you feel now? Lixiana raises her arms to look at Nicole. Something seems wrong with my body. She is shining. Just like I rolled in golden sand. Nicole nodded laughingly when she heard this. That's right. She just wanted to explain, but suddenly I sensed something. Instantly shocked. It turned back to its original body. Disappear. Lixiana was also slightly shocked, because she found that her senses became particularly sharp. It can be sensed by the slight fluctuations of the air. Orsha stood behind her. Orsha smiled and said, my essence seemed to permeate your whole body. You need to drink more holy water, otherwise you may suffer severe physical pain. After saying that, he reached out and grabbed the quilt covered by the girl. Rayanna blushed suddenly, tightly grabbed the quilt and blocked the chest. Seeing Olean, I couldn't help but evoke the corner of Ladiana. What do you want to do? Two little couples pull and pull. The dog food is almost overflowing from the screen. Rayanna smiled awkwardly for me just a little cold. Listen to the girl's slutty excuse. Orsha couldn't help but quip, right? Then let me warm you up. As he said that, he sat next to the girl, holding her waist. Take someone in your arms. I was just trying to tease Ayana. I didn't expect to burn myself by playing with fire. I couldn't help but put my face over. He raised the girl's chin overbearingly. He took away all his breath in an instant. At this time, Jima, which was a disgrace, appeared, looking at the scene in front of you, screaming out loud. What are you doing? This is not possible. The interrupted Orsha said a little dissatisfied, and it was just a kiss. You disturbed me. The atmosphere is destroyed by you. Next time I remember to choose a better time to appear. Looking at Oresh, who didn't take it seriously. Gino's face is serious. Have you forgotten my warning? Before the Crescent Festival, you can't have physical interaction. Orsha sighed. Then Gino walked to the girl again. Hand him the holy water, Ms. Lixiana. You must drink essence water every day. My cure ability is limited. You have to drink holy water to survive. Hearing this, Lixiana had to drink it obediently. Seeing Gino continue to talk about his royal highness. Indeed, a lot of solar energy is injected in your body. Hearing this, Lixiana was stuck by the holy water. Orsha on the side quickly patted her back gently. Carefully soothe it and drink it. Otherwise, your body will be as uncomfortable as if you are on fire. Then he snapped his fingers. Nicole appeared instantly. Orexeo head did not reply and made sure that Lixiana drinks holy water every day. Until we go to Tiangong. Okay, your highness. Then softly said in the ears of Rayanna, saying that I know it is not easy. But remember my words. You need to drink 1 cup a day. A few days later, Lixiana was drinking the essence of holy water. Nicole looked at the tired Lixiana. Said Madame Lixiana with distress. Your work is too hard today. Lixiana feels a little embarrassed. It's nothing to do with it. Thinking that Nicole is working hard for her. Lady Anna suddenly had an idea. Nicole, I want to make you a beautiful hair clip. After saying that, he got up and walked towards the workbench. Just picked up the tool. I sensed the fluctuations of the air around me. Looking at the sudden appearance of shadows, the servant Lixiana was shocked. What wind blows you? Shadow servants looked around and observed. The answer of 4 kinds of machinery is His Highness. Order us to remove anything that may cause harm to you. Soon the whole palace became empty. The strong Nicole burst into tears. They're so hateful. Even the hairpin given to you by Master has taken away. Lixiana looked calm. Nicole is fine and there is no need to be angry. Late at night, Nicole came to the courtyard with some fear. Why did Lord Gino call me out so late? Thinking uneasily. Suddenly he sensed abnormal fluctuations in the air. Turn around and look. It turned out to be a hairpin confiscated by the shadow servant before. But Nicole just looked at. No action. Gino, who was peeping in the dark, couldn't help it. Sweared. Stupid fool. What are you waiting for? Pick it up quickly. Nicole, a classical Chinese, was stunned and stunned. Master Gino, looking at Nicole who is still moving. Gino explained that I lost weight in this thing. This means no one can see him, including shadow servants. Even His Highness. Do you want Ms. Rayanna to be unhappy in his room? Of course not. Immediately picked up the hair clip on the ground carefully. Then the light ran away. Seeing this, Gino was speechless. How can a little fairy be so cautious? That's right, Orexio, who suddenly appeared, echoed faintly. Hearing the familiar sound in your ears, Gino turned to look. The eyes were almost falling out in an instant. Orexio continued to say, as a punishment for deceiving me, you stopped and approached me before the Crescent Festival. On the other side I saw Nicole's hairpin. Rayanna is finally happy again. Orexio, who observed this scene with divine power, was a little frustrated. I can't believe it. Gino even grabbed it in front of me. See the beloved human girl again. Prince of the Child was stunning by the beautiful Rayanna, so speechless. I was worried that the girl's weak constitution would be difficult for the fairy to participate in the upcoming Crescent Festival. The moment when the carefully dressing up Orshao, who had lived for 2 centuries, was the first time I was shy. Even the little old man Gino was fascinated with a red face. Lixiana was a little embarrassed by the two of them, a little restrained and dared not move. Looking at the girl at a loss. Orexio slowly spoke up for your fairy character. You can participate in the Crescent Festival. Go to Pove's shipping ship soon to launch. Rayanna stared straight at the thorn on the boat. There is a statue on the boat. Or nodded and said that was my first Black Panther. Unfortunately, he has lived for only 1 century. Speaking of this man, you will live for a long time. Because you have the solar energy I injected in your body. Then stepped in front of Lixiana. Hold the girl in her arms. What do you say? Lixiana. Just like talking to a wall. Classical Chinese girl was stunned, looking at Orexio's handsome face. It's so beautiful to blurt out. Then he explained in embarrassment that I mean, this statue is beautiful. Is it Olsien, and lifted the girl's chin. Say softly, Reshiana. When you enter Polois. You can't look afraid of me. Do you remember how brave you were when we first met? You have to let the whole world know. You are my first woman. Once we leave the ship. I can't tolerate your current state. You will play my lover in Bavius. Now may be a good time to start practicing. When Lixiana heard this, she suddenly remembered a conversation with Nicole before. He held Nicole's hands tightly at that time. Nicole asked with a red face. Have you ever been in love? Of course I've been in love. I've told you before. Love is the breath of a fairy. Nicole looked excited. It looks like a veteran in love. Talk about it. Fall in love. Just think of him. My heart will pound. So how to look at others affectionately? Well, I haven't thought about this problem yet. Nick dragged his chin and thought in a little distressed manner. Suddenly flashing. Why don't you want to think about the most beautiful things you have ever seen? Some gorgeous and amazing things. Calligraphy. Rihanna's brain appeared in a series of beautiful things she had seen. Beautiful crown. Gorgeous light cylinder. Magic sesame oil. Finally, it was frozen in Orexio's beautiful figure. Thinking of this, Lixiana's face turned red in an instant. This cannot be right. In fact, I must be crazy. The most beautiful, luxurious and magical thing. I think of those stupid mortals. They ruined their lives because they fell in love with a god. I can't believe I've become one of them. Looking at Lixiana, who has not responded to her for a long time, Orishashas pretended to be angry and interrupted the girl's thoughts. So Lixiana, I hope you have enough time to practice. You dare to let the gods wait. Rihanna returned to God at once. A panicked response. Okay, I will. Your Highness sees this. Orishash's big hand placed on the girl's waist was slightly pressing. Lixiana looked up. Caught off guard, she met her gaze as if she was like a pool of water. Then why don't you show it to me? The girl is crying without tears. A confused face. What should I do? Unconsciously clenched his fists. Keeping up at yourself constantly. I need to keep my head sober. There is no retreat now. Must play the infatuation of Prince Olean. Lover looks at the girl who is stunned again. Orsho said a little dissatisfied. You let me down again. I thought you would be moved by my beauty. Rishiana was so scared that she was sweating heavily when she heard this. This is not wonderful. Keep going like this. Suddenly what he thought of. Wait, if I treat his royal highness as humans. Yes, if. He is just a man who is angry with his lover. Thinking of this, Rishiana couldn't help but cover her mouth and laughed. Suddenly I got it. Sorry, your highness. Do you think this is okay? Orsho glanced at. Shock in an instant. He saw the girl's affectionate gaze for the first time. He's all in his eyes. Orexio spoke calmly. Of course, AK couldn't even hold back the corner of his mouth, but he betrayed him. In this way, the simple Lixiana fell into a carefully designed love exercise for men. Soon a day and a half passed. Lixiana stands at the bow of the boat and looks into the scenery in the distance. Gino, who was standing beside him, had a serious face and told him that we were about to arrive in Povius. Povius and Tesca are on both ends of heaven. You must always be vigilant. Povius and Tesca are very different. If you are not careful, the Imperial King will teach you a good lesson. You must play the good man's heart. Only for this, you can survive. Looking at the girl who has not realized the seriousness, Gino held back his anger, clenched his fists. Ms. Lixiana, remember me. But I still didn't hear the girl's response. The irritable Gino couldn't help but jump up in a hurry. Do you understand what I said? No matter where you go, everyone must stand beside his highness. At the same time, Orexo, who has been single for 200 years, is still silly savvy about her love acting with Lixiana. Such a affectionate look. You think this is okay? When I think of this, men can't help laughing involuntarily. Then he sat up in pain. He can't fall in love with me. I have to find a way to make him brave. But he didn't think of a solution. Radiana appeared in front of her. Your highness, I'll try again. Do you think this is okay? Do you think it can pass? The girl looking at the cold-eyed eyes. Orexio completely fell. Yes, this is very convincing. Then I can't suppress my love for the girl. Gently patted the top of her head. Then good luck. Lixiana finished speaking. Disappeared from the spot. Didn't wait for Rayana to react. A burst of cheers came from my ears. I saw dense crowds of people standing on the shore. Everyone was cheering for Prince Oriso's arrival. He shouted loudly about this Povius's trial. At this moment, Rayana understood it. Why did Orexo disappear suddenly? And the next second, a golden light flashed by. The man appeared in front of the girl again. It turned out that Orshaw forgot to say goodbye to the girl. Come back deliberately. Looking at the girl with affectionate eyes. Say slowly Rishiana. Meeting later, then disappeared from the spot. Lixiana was a little confused by her actions. Then I understand it. Blushed suddenly. Girl is pregnant for 3 months, but I don't know who the child is. The vicious queen is determined to let her marry the noble prince. Just because the girl is her niece. At this moment in the palace of Povius, Terra heard that Orexio would take Lixiana to attend the Star Moon Festival. He threw out the 39th bracelet in anger. The extremely clear mirror was broken in an instant. Fast, get me a new jewelry. It's the kind of thing that can attract Prince Orexio at a glance. The maids who were so scared that they didn't dare to let go, but suddenly stopped. Exclaimed. His Majesty the Queen. Queen Avalidia frowned. Coming gracefully. What is Tyra? As he said that, he came to Terra's side. You've got the most valuable gem of Povius. So what's going on now? But Aunt Orshao brought that little fairy to participate in the Crescent Festival. This is not enough. It would be great if there were decorations made by the magician. I heard that Avalsha's elegant face wrinkled a little bit. Are you afraid of losing to that silly fairy just because of a few pieces of jewelry? Then he ordered Dao to dress the child to the maids. No time. Matwei. Then pick up the sapphire bracelet thrown out by Tyra. Say Diala in a low voice. Don't lose your temper anymore. I have been unbearable. Then Avalidia strode towards Terra. Gently stroked his belly. Murmur so. Think of the kids in your belly. Suddenly fell into Tyra's pupils instantly enlarged. I don't know what you are talking about, kid. His Majesty the Queen. Avalsha sneered. Don't say a word. He shouted in one slap. You dare to lie to me. Do you want your child to die as soon as he is born? Or do you prefer to make him the Sun Prince's child? Listen carefully. Do your best to welcome Zorine. Facing the trembling Tyra, Avalsha barely swallowed her anger. Supplement Diala. This is my last warning. You must deceive this heavenly judgment god. If you win the love of Orsho, you will not only become a valuable asset to the family, it can also save your lover and children. Classical Chinese Tara clenched her lips, swearing secretly I will do whatever it takes. Let Prince Orizio become the gorgeous palace on the other side of me. A brilliant light flashed suddenly. Then cracks appeared in the space. The voice of the attendant sounded in the hall. His Majesty Solomon, Prince Orishoraman of Tezkar has arrived. Hundreds of royal people's eyes are instantly concentrated to the place where the crack is opened. Oh my god, is really His Highness Prince Orexio. I heard that he finally lost Tongzhen. Now it seems that it is not groundless. Everyone must be careful. Don't forget to swallow Lingnum. Linguam can let users temporarily block or yawn, sight up their thoughts. Looking at the panicked royal family members, Orshao smiled contempt. These fools and Lingnum seem to have any effects. It turns out that with the increase of Orizio's power, the average Linglong mother is actually useless. But it did reduce the sound in his head. So maybe it's not that bad. Orexo still walked forward with a smile. Your Majesty, I hope you are all well. Zaldandan opens his mouth. Oratio of Tezkar. You look good too. Orexio smiled faintly under the great attention of the royal family. What's the reason for me to be bad? After all, 2 centuries after abstinence, I finally lost Tongzhen. Spoken. The hall was filled with silent sighs in an instant. Queen Avalidia, who was standing beside her, covered her mouth and smiled. What a good news. My prince. Lei Xie turned his attention to Avalidia, smiled faintly. Of course yes, His Majesty the Queen. After saying that, he sat in the seat next to Saltus. Seeing that, Avaldia said to Saltus, is it okay? Saltus answered that I just got the news. He's going to give birth. Avalsha lamented, my god. His Majesty, you finally have the first emperor grandson. After talking about Avalsha, turning around and asking for Orsho, Prince Orizio, when will you show us the woman who takes away your childlike truth? Orsho slowly opens. He should have arrived now. Very good, I want to before that fairy enters the palace. Introduce you to someone. Avalsha smiled rarely. Stretch. Then the neatly dressed Tyra shone out and came out. This is Peros's Avarisha. Tara believes you know it very well. She is the most beautiful child in our family. He has been raised to be your fiancé. We believe you will like him. Then falling foul at His Royal Highness. His Royal Highness. Tyra asked you well. Orshaw didn't answer. Just showed a fake smile. He stared at Tara's dark eyes, just like looking at a rock. Careless. But even if this unintentional look, Tyra also lost his soul in place for a moment. Feel the pain of the soul being burned. Saltus, who couldn't stand it, quickly spoke up to remind Orshaw. What are you doing? Orizio strode down the steps. With a smile, he answered him to disturb me. In a tense atmosphere, Orexio continued to say with a smile, my lover finally comes here. The sound of the servant of the palace next second sounded again. The guests from Tesca arrived. Swaying pink firebird feathers float gently. Gino, who has the golden beast belt, seems to enjoy the royal family sight very much. Church walked in positively. Rayanna followed closely behind. Also made a brilliant appearance with an elegant posture. Lishiana. Suddenly familiar voice passed into her ears. Girls, look up. I found that Orshaw had come to him. His over-affordable eyes and his tangled by the soldering iron made a small face flushed with a small face. Your Highness. Orshaw leaned down, said gently, it's time to use your abilities. At this moment, a dazzling light hit Lishiana. Orshaw instantly covered his eyes with his hands. That's how Thor introduced it. Oh Solomon. Son of the sun god. My father. Please allow me to introduce it to you. Lishiana. My first lover. Thor frowned slightly. Put your hands down. Orexia slowly moved away, the big hand covering the girl's eyes. Under extremely bright light, she shrank her eyebrows slightly. But you must never make mistakes in front of Emperor Sol. Lishiana slowly recited the greetings Gino told her. Salute to Solomon, son of the sun god. Fairy Laiana, descendants of Kok. Wish to serve you. Soul of classical Chinese didn't speak. Seeing this, the royal family began to discuss. He is the descendant of the humble stone goddess. Saltus, who couldn't stand it, welcomed Kok's descendants. But Thor just looked down at the woman standing in front of him, frowning and asking, you said you were the descendant of Kok. What will you show us to prove your identity? Lishiana swallowed nervously. I will show the silver silk fine work. Queen Avalsha on the side finally couldn't help it. He spoke with a knife hidden in his smile. She is just a fairy. But with the silver lily created by the magician Jazz. His Majesty. Let him show his abilities. Spoken. A golden light flashed by the girl. A hot stove and tools appeared in front of you. At this moment, Lishiana actually felt inexplicably excited. You can start. With Thor's order. The girl's slender fingers began to move magically. I saw thin silver wires twisting and beating on Lishiana's hands. Everyone hold their breath. Watching this humble stone fairy perform. Wonderful skills. I've never seen a fairy use the fire in the bellows to make silverware. I want to know what she learned in the magician's peerless and dull cave. Unconsciously, a gorgeous rose blooms in the girl's hands. Although there are not many great sons of the sun god. But I want to give you this silver rose. The girl lowered her blushing face, raised the shining silver rose high. Suddenly a sharp golden light flashed. The rose in his hand disappeared instantly. Lishiana, descendants of Karko. I admit you are Orexo's first lover. As for your Aole, now that you have proved your value, then marry Tyra as soon as possible. Watching a satisfactory smile on Queen Avalsha's face, Orexio's eyes slightly cold. Slowly speaking as God wishes. Spoken. Thor's voice filled the entire hall. The great sun god Hoi. The power of the sun will envelop this peaceful night. Festive celebration. Now start. Enjoy it. Until the sun rises from the morning sky again. Seeing beloved human girl being bullied. Prince of the Sun wants to destroy his fiancée's hand. Just after passing the test of the sun god Thor. Lixiana looked at the dazzling palace in front of her in a daze. The sun's light hangs on the hall ceiling like an ice sculpture. Exudes different colors. The royal family's golden skin became brighter as a result. And among these shining people, the most prominent one is still the noble Prince Orizio. Looking at the high god. Lixiana blushed, looking up at her affectionately. That distant height makes people breathless. Just then, a chill came from behind. Lixiana turned around and looked. I saw a group of fairies walking towards me. The leader is the queen. Niece Terra exudes dazzling light. A smiley smile, staring at the silver lily headdress worn by Lixiana. A stone fairy. Lily made with Sir Magic Sir. So is the silver silk fine work taught by the magician Jazz? Yes, I heard the expected answer. The woman smiled arrogantly. I'm Terra. Descendants of the royal Palos. It is also the fiancé of Prince Orshao, the son of the great sun. Rihanna didn't expect. The dazzling woman standing in front of me turned out to be Orexio's fiancé. Don't know what to say for a moment. Thinking a little distressed. Should I tell him I'm happy to see him? Still tell him I look forward to seeing him again. Anyway. Wedding to this lady and His Highness Orexo. Just like my duty. But I don't know what to say next. Looking at Lixiana who was stunned. Tyra seems to be in a dilemma of Rion's kindness. Waving his hand gracefully. Okay, you don't need to express your greetings to me. But the woman next to her said to Terra, have you heard of it? The horse is a well-known and lustful man. Hearing this, Terra glanced up and down at Lixiana with her interested eyes. It seems that your bed notes must have been learned from the magician. Hearing this, Rihanna's little face swelled and flushed. I was so angry that I trembled. I don't know what you are talking about. Tyra covered his mouth disdainful and smiled. Otherwise, a humble fairy like you. How could I get Prince Orexio's first time? Hey, tell us. I can't wait to hear your bed skills. At this time, the loneliness that could not be heard by the side put down the wineglass with its trembling hands. Stand out timidly. Lord Terra. You must be joking. Ms. Lixiana's relationship with the magician is not what you think. I want to tell you, Ms. Lixiana is just an apprentice. You're talking about joking. Terra's eyes frightened. A golden light flashed instantly. Very arrogant. A little elf dares to say I'm joking. The next second Gino grabbed his neck in pain. Then he fell to the ground with a plop. Seeing this, Lixiana ran over in panic. Gino, are you okay? Then he turned his head and said to Terra angrily, what are you doing? Oh, don't tell me you're standing on this elf. Remember, this is not a place for people like you. Don't forget that you took away His Highness's comrade on my behalf. So answer me. How did you climb onto His Highness's bed? Hearing this, Lixiana calmly cleans her clothes. The eyes became more and more firm. Then slowly stood up. Are you curious about my bed skills? First of all, I will wait for her to ignite my physical desire. Then I'll twist my whole body in his arms. Make an excited moan. He will make sure my body can accept it before starting. Finally, Lixiana added with a smile. Feel free to ask for more details. He came back to his senses from his anger after saying that. Looking at the expressionless Terra, Lixiana was a little panicked. What I just said was not intentional. The whole plan was disrupted. I hope this arrogant lady can be a satisfied companion for His Highness. That way, I will be able to create silver jewelry freely for the rest of my life. Just when she regrets the previous impulse, a slender and smooth hand raised. Then he slapped the girl and fanned the girl. Rihanna caught off guard, falling to the ground. Great. Even the few pearls that Nicole carefully installed fell down. My wife saw this. Nicole burst into tears in an anxious mood. And the beating of Lixiana was still thinking that His Highness asked me to do my best. I didn't mean to let this happen. You run over and hug Lixiana who is falling down. How are you okay? Mrs. Lixiana. Arrogant woman. How dare you insult me? You're just a lucky little fairy. Terra said, gritting her teeth in anger. Just then, Orshaw strode over. What's going on with this movement? The man is still smiling. But everyone around felt extremely horrible. Explain. Lixiana. Seeing this, Terra thought Orshaw was angry with Lixiana's behavior. Because these things happen from time to time. The royal men have this routine. No sun prince would like the fairy they slept with would cause trouble for themselves. So Terra smiled knowingly. Say your highness with a pity. It's all my fault. I shouldn't react and this stupid fairy provokes me. Please ignore the irrelevant quarrels between women. You said she provoked you. Orexio's eyes are locked on Lixiana. I see. So you're wrong. Lixiana doesn't. No, wait for the girl to explain. Orexio raised his mouth. I warned you. Lixiana. The man's eyes stared at the girl. Just like this space is only she and Rihanna. Heartache in your eyes. Carefully reached out and touched the place where the cheeks were red and swollen. Gently saying that I don't like my things to suffer any damage. So tell me, Lixiana, do you want to slap back in the face? Or I will cut off the hand that hits you on your behalf. Classical Chinese Tyra was so frightened that he fell in place. He was arrogant and finally realized something was wrong. But it's too late. To calm the Sun Prince, human girl actually posted, and asked men to change places to punish themselves. Just now, Lady Diana was slapped in public. Aurea looked at the girl who was bullied in front of, inexplicably distressed. In order to get angry for the beloved girl, I wanted to abolish my fiancé's hand. The Queen Avaricia won't let her do so. Your Highness, you must be joking. Tyra is just jealous of this little fairy who has been in contact with you. This is the jealousy that women have. There is no need to make a big deal. The queen continued with a smile. Although this is traditional, but one woman lets another take away what belongs to her. This is not an easy thing. Orexo sneered. Speak slowly. Your own stuff. Avalidia. Queen, I am not anyone's property. The man's golden pupils shine brightly. In that moment, the queen was completely lost in Orizio's deep black pupils, almost coughed up Linglongmo that she had drunk. The queen covered her lips tightly. It took a while to calm down. He spoke with lingering fear and said to His Highness, your father has declared Terra as your fiancée. Marrying her is your responsibility. You said it was a responsibility. Orexio smiled disdainfully. In an instant, the man's earrings shined brightly. A bright light appeared between Orsho and Avalidia. At this time, a steady voice came to Orexio, quarreling about such a trivial matter. This is not like you. It turned out to be Saltus. I saw him raise his hand slightly. Golden divine power overflows from the palm. Reshiana's swollen face instantly recovered as if it was the first time. This is okay. Oreu, from now on. Put down this. Don't escalate the conflicts. Please return to your seat. Orexio shrugged without caring. But I haven't heard my woman's answer yet. Yen of Alsha. The queen laughs loudly. I know that little fairy possess you first, but I don't know she still possesses your heart. It seems you have been in the palace of Tezcar for too long. Your Highness, how dare you despise Povia's traditions? You want to cut off the noble goddess's hand, just because she beat a humble fairy. Do you think of yourself as the judge of the gods again? In an instant, Lishiana saw Orsha's eyes turned into a black abyss. Creepy. Orsha ignores the queen's words. Just smiled and whispered to the girl. Lishiana answered me. Before I cut off her hand and give it to you. Seeing this, the queen breathed a sigh of relief. Looks very happy. She looks like a great saint. Say mercifully to Lishiana, okay. The little fairy seems to the prince hopes you make this decision. Then tell us, what do you want? Lishiana raised her head. Look at those elegant and charming amber eyes. It seems that I saw the cruelty hidden in her eyes. I will do whatever means in order to achieve my goals, even if this will cause others to die. The look she's seen before. That's right, Grazia's eyes pushed her into the fire pit. Thinking that this girl has decided. First of all, she wants to leave here safely. So Lishiana put away her fear. Clear your throat. Speak slowly. Your Highness, I'll speak. It attracted everyone's attention. Lishiana tucked her hair elegantly and calmly. Say your Highness confidently. Cutting off her hand is useless. Nothing else matters. I only need you. As he said that, he walked towards Orexo briskly. In the shining sun. The silver lily on Radiana's head is shining. In fact, it's really my fault. I actually revealed to him how we spend passion. Yi then gently lifted his hand. Put it on Comrade Oresho's hard arm. Sweetly added so. If you want to punish, just punish me. What a girl thinks suddenly. The face suddenly became suspiciously blushed. Said weakly, but I don't want to be punished here. I hope there are only two of us. You're punishing me. So that's the end of this meaningless debate. Spoken. The royal goddesses were so surprised that they couldn't stop talking. That fairy actually dared to act coquettishly towards His Highness Orexio. She even grabbed His Highness's arm. That is our pervious god of judgment. Listening to the whispers coming from your ears, Lishiana said to Orexio awkwardly, let's discuss these details privately. Orexio smiled, showing a noble and dazzling smile as sunny as. He ignored his eyes. Sweeping the girl's face slowly. Then let's do what you said. Lishiana then said to Avalidia. The queen is like what you just heard. My woman has no interest in narrow revenge. Avalidia's heart is slightly upset. A elegant smile on her face after a long training. Orexio didn't look at her again. Just picked up Lishiana. Several golden lights flashed around. Instantly disappeared. Can't wait to start the sweet punishment for the two in private. Go to the world of mortals on the other side. The secret room of the arena. It's also the residence of Grazia. A woman lying lazy on the bed. Several muscular men around me. The life of color fans is evident. Suddenly a man with long hair pushed the door open. It's been a long time no see. Gratia. Grazia got up instantly. Apatus. It's me, Gratia. The man responded with a chuckle. Hearing Jella, Tia's eyes suddenly turned cold. Pay attention to your words. You know very well. I won't call this name anymore. Ask the people here to know your real name. It turns out that the man is Grazia's half-brother Apatus Mandos. The woman didn't answer. Just spoke impatiently. I believe you have only one reason to come here. You have no money again. Yes, I heard you made a lot of money through the arena. I think you know. I use this money to support the dual history of the competition here. Of course you are so different from me. Gratia. Apatus said. Lie on the woman's big bed. I have a trick to spend money, and you seem to like to enjoy making a lot of money. I knew you would be rich, whether as a high priest, or as a secret patron of the duel, or warm beds for some senior government officials. Don't stare at me like that. I'll keep your little secret. I won't tell anyone. You are the real Gladia Mendos. The priestess who was sacrificed at the sun ceremony. Prince of the Sun, out of control for a moment. It made the human girl unconscious. Just now. Orexo hugged Lishiana and left the Star Moon Festival early. Come to his secret garden. A man's cunning smile flashed on the man's face. Lishiana. Ready to accept my punishment. Lishiana's face suddenly turned red. Sweet punishment begins. You don't like to watch the pictures behind. Skip all. At the same time, Gino, who was still at the Crescent Festival, was holding a big wine glass in his hand, drinking red. You're so anxious. Oh my god, Lord Gino. If you continue like this, you will get drunk. As he said that, he stepped forward and took away Gino's wine glass. Gino was so angry that he gritted his teeth. Do you look down on me either? You can explain in a low voice. I hope let in. Mrs. Na is fine. Because when the new moon appears, Your Highness said he would hear this. Dino frowned and shrewd. What do you think of Your Highness? Is he the kind of person who only satisfy his desires? Just then, a servant rushed over. Whispered to Gino, who was slightly drunk. What classical Chinese Gino was so shocked that he woke up on the spot. Jumped up. What do you just say? Nicole on the side is full of mist. Asked subconsciously. Master Gino, what happened? Gino did not answer. Just walked away with short legs. Nicole looked at the wrong Gino. Also follow. Soon the two of them arrived at the huge Kinmen gate. Gino shouted to the gatekeeper, what are you doing standing there? Don't hurry to open the door for me. The door opened in response to the sound of the painting. Two elves walked through the garden with worry on their faces. After a while, I came to where Orsha and Lishiana were. Looking at the girl lying on the ground in front of him. Gino raises his hand and is a healing technique. Swearing. How can you do this? Your Highness, I know it's hard to control myself. But this is too much. A rare embarrassment in Orexio. Touched my cheeks a little uncomfortable. This is Lishiana's wish. I just did it as she thought. Gino speechless. Crazy complaints inside. Going to step on the horse. What he wants. The bastard immediately made a whole solution. Focused on treatment Lishiana. But there is no sign of improvement. My healing magic doesn't work. Gino exclaimed. Seeing this, Orexio was worried. The face is still calm. Just looked at Nicole with tears on her face. Instruct the little fairy. Go and find His Highness Prince Saltus. On the other side, Terra's bedroom. A good show is brewing. Woman's crystal tears fell on the marble floor. Suddenly, a bang was heard. A heartbroken Terra's room sounded. The queen broke into the door angrily. Step on the high heels and go straight towards Tyra. Without saying a word. Raising your hand is just a slap. Terra was beaten to the ground. Open your eyes wide. Thunderously trembling. My aunt, who has always been decent, no longer cares about maintaining her elegant image. Just scolded Terra. Stupid girl. You're full of jewels. But he lost to a humble fairy. Now clean up your mood. Go out immediately to apologize to the little fairy. But Terra, who has always been proud, is not convinced at all. I'm a noble goddess. Also a member of the royal family. Never be like a little fairy. Why not? You are the goddess who gives your crown gem to someone else's god. Under the queen's murderous eyes. Terra was so scared that she instantly petrified. Then the queen raised her hand and swept Terra's face with her long fingertips. Continue to warning. Do you want me to take action? Will you and your family be dealt with once and for all? I finally took you to this position. How dare you betray me? Avalsha glaring at Tyra. I can look at the virgin body you lost. But how dare you tell your doctor to check this little ghost who hasn't been born yet? My stomach hurts great. I'm afraid I'll lose my child. The queen became even more angry when she heard this. Pushed Terra to the ground. Your child is an illegitimate child. It would be better if it doesn't exist. As he said that, Avalidia put on a gentle mask again. Terra, you are alive because I think you are useful. So do what I said. Remember, if it wasn't me. You've died long ago. It's time for you to pay off your debt. Avaricia looked at Tirana's glowing eyes like her poisonous snake. What are you doing? Why are you still sitting there? Get up quickly. I can deal with you and your family at any time. If you want to live. Marrying to Prince or Shao is your only choice. Terra looked miserable. Take a step barely. Avaliciana's cold voice continues. I don't care if you will kiss the fairy's feet. Please remember that the fate of your family is in your hands. Should I continue to live or disappear into history? This depends on you. Wait until Lishiana opened her eyes again. A lazy and nice voice sounded in your ears. Is your name Lishiana? Lishiana comes back to her senses. Look at the beautiful man in front of you. Then I realized that he was Prince Saltus. So he hurriedly stood up to salute. But I couldn't help but think of the same beautiful and miserable or smile. And Saltus just said coldly that you don't need to salute me. You are just a mortal. Saltus touched his head with a headache. I suggest you stay away from Oresho's bed from now on. After saying that, turn around and leave. Rainana watched the place where Saltus disappeared. Nicole on the side stepped forward in panic. Asked worriedly Mrs. Lishiana. How are you okay? I'm scared. I didn't expect His Royal Highness to possess you in the palace. Rayanna looked at the crying Nicole. The heart is very disturbed. What should I do? Prince Nicole Saltus discovered that I was immortal. It's bad. Rihanna's human identity was discovered. Just now. Saltus rescues the fainted Lishiana. But I discovered the girl's human identity. So I found Orsha immediately. Ask her if she is crazy. It turned out to deceive the sun god's soul for a human. Orsha, who was sitting in the dark, was silent for a while. Suddenly laughed. Answer yourself. Didn't deceive Thor. Saltus then asked if the queen knew. Orsha opens lightly. It doesn't matter whether he knows it or not. Hearing this, Saltus fried hair. That human girl should have died. Why do you go against the will of heaven? Do you save him just to satisfy your desire? The voice of Orza's sounded slowly in the moonlight. Dear brother, he is my human sacrifice. It's also my first woman. And now he is completely mine. So please stop talking about what belongs to me. Saltus's eyes were slightly cold. Orsha, you have to deal with it as soon as possible. Why? Orsian tilted his head slightly. His earrings in the darkness are shining. As you see, my essence has penetrated his body. He is an undead now. Saltus was helpless by Orexio's words. Can only be cold to warn. Don't forget, you are the Prince of the Sun, Paradise Judgment God, and an almighty God. Xiaoman's face said disdainfully, I don't want it at all. But this is your destiny. I hope you accept my advice. If you don't intend to let Kuralj rule Poilus. I heard that. Xiao smiled lightly. It doesn't matter if something happens. I'll burn everything to ashes. Saltuschi's eyes are on fire. You really want to confront Thor head-on. Orsha didn't deny it. If you want to stay Lenatuya, I'll burn it. The breath of Waluo Saltus suddenly became cold. I've heard enough of your arrogance. Orizio as the Sun Prince. You are responsible for your people. My Zimin. Orsha repeats Saluz's words with a smile. The sound is extremely cold. Slowly get up later. Quietly kicked off the curtain. Dear brother, let's go. The festival has just begun. The gorgeous smoke on the other side, blooming in the night sky. Pass like a gemstone. Rayana looked at the distance blankly. It seems to have completely fallen into the beautiful scenery before you. Nicole looked at Lishiana's face. He spoke carefully and said, Madam Lishiana. This is the nectar. Eyes of the gods. Nicole was holding a huge gold pot. Rayana looks at a red drink full of a jar. Shock. I want to refuse the first time. Nicole wrinkled with a small face and regretted that Mrs. Karina. You don't drink a little first. I can't taste it anymore. Just one drink per person. What do you think? Lishiana can't bear to destroy the expectations in Nicole's eyes. I had to take a symbolic sip. Nicole follows. I can't wait to fill it in one bite. The next second Nicole's green pupils turn into orangutan eyes. Oh my god, I've never eaten anything like this in my life. The taste is great. Now let's have another drink. Just like this, the two are not out of control. One after another. At the same time, Gino came to Ryamana's residence. Standing with the favorite paper shuttle grass of human girls, standing at the door of the room and hiding away. Inner drama. What should I say? Is it okay to ask him? All fools know that it's impossible, no matter what you think. This time His Highness Orexio was too much. Suddenly, a giggling sound came from Gino's ears, who was still wandering at the door. Have I heard laughter? Did Miss Lishiana eventually lose her mind? Thinking of this, Gino suddenly felt as if he was dead. Light opened the door and shouted Miss Lishiana. The next second Gino stays like a wooden chicken instantly. There were two drunks in front of me, and Nicole also saw Giluo, walking towards him. Hello, isn't this Master Gino? Our lovely servant. You seem to be tall. Are you willing to have a drink with us? Gino is confused. Flying to the golden gum, go to the side. What did they drink? Isn't this nectar? The amount of this golden can is enough to make a god drunk. Did they actually drink a whole can? Wow, it's Gino. Have you brought me my favorite perilla grass? Lishiana staggered to Gino. Extend your hand to Gino. He held the grass like a child and rubbed it against his face. Huh, this is perilla. Gino looked around blankly. I really can't believe that all this is true. Then locked the door quickly. Use simple magic to turn into soundproof walls, because in this place, nothing is more dangerous than a drunk human woman. Gino is crying without tears. The expression changes in the next second. It seems like I've seen a savior. It's Orsha who came to protect the sacrifice girl who is dedicated to herself. The Sun Prince, admired by thousands of people, actually made his fiancée Terra a concubine, just because Terra slapped the human girl in public. Auntie Tella also warns Tyra to apologize to the human girl, with Terra leaving in a miserable expression. The queen lay on a light couch. She gracefully held a grape in her hand. The servant who ordered the servant to stand beside him softly. The fairy here knows too much. Kill them all. There was a turbulence soon. The grief and screams intertwined. The whole room is filled with the cheerful holiday music sound. The queen looked at the ground covered in the blood of the maids. He whispered to the servant beside him, Orexio was too arrogant. He dared to despise my queen of Poilus. It seems that old Xiao has become even stronger. I need a stronger exquisite eyes. Suddenly I don't know where to fly from a blade like a blade. Stay in front of a Valsha lying down. He jumped up. Sit up. His expression changed drastically. Is Caligo you? Mother Caligo. My son. How are you doing? Are you in good health? I'm very slipping. The blue light suddenly rolled up violently. The queen's expression suddenly collapsed. Caligo has not had much time. I will do my best to bring you back to heaven. Blue ray flickering. A faint sound came out. Then I'll be unsafe. You don't have to worry about something like this. Povius will definitely be yours. Avalidia looked at the gorgeous fireworks in the distance. Smiled coldly. We will soon reveal it to the world. Orsha is a monster. At this time, the Crescent Festival. The appearance of Orsho and Saltus makes the festival more intense. They are sitting on high positions, bored looking down, and to see the dazzling Sun Princes. The banquet was filled with fairies who were protruding their heads, but the Sun Princes were not interested at all. His Royal High. Orsha slowly tilted his head. I saw a middle-aged man tremblingly saying that I am basic Nime of the Palos family. I'm here to ask for forgiveness for my daughter Tara's actions. Winnie is his father. Horatio smiled, but this laugh made Basiconim even more scared. So he uneasy explained that he was still young, immature and strong. Saltus, who was standing by, said, accept his apology. No need to do against the Perlos family. Accept his apology. Orshao asked with a smile. I didn't take it down. Just said kindly to Basiconim and told your daughter. Tell him if he wants to be my concubine, you can come to me anytime. Basiconim's classical Chinese face turned pale in an instant. Are you talking about a concubine? You know Tara is a royal family. He comes from a purebred family and is one of the noblest branches of the Palos family. No one has ever made a little concubine in this family. Due to Aeorian's sentence, the royal family is everywhere around the royal family around. But he didn't care. Still smiled and said funny. You should be happy to sell your daughter. Stop playing the role of a doting father. I'm not interested in your crappy performance. Basiconim tried to hide his shocked look. Talking to your highness in panic. I will never sell my daughter to anyone. That's. Orshaw doesn't pretend anymore. Impatiently stood up from my seat. It's boring. Then you can find another husband for him. Saltus on the side can no longer watch. Quickly remind. Orizio, what are you thinking? Hearing this, Orizo smiled faintly. Obviously I'm protecting my own woman. An inexplicable tension began to permeate the hall. The initiator Orizio walked out indifferently. Suddenly he stopped. A dreamy smile to everyone. So I wish you all a happy time. The gorgeous fireworks in the distance are blooming beautifully in the night sky. Oricio came to Luciana's room in the blink of an eye. Stop. I looked at the rough sound insulation magic on the door. In my heart, this is called sound insulation magic. Then walked straight in. Soon, he stopped in a daze. I saw Nicole lying on the ground in a row, sleeping unconsciously. At this moment, a woman's giggle came from her ears. Orexio looked up. Squinted slightly. Some people shouted, Luciana, in certainty. Hearing someone calling his name. Drunk Luciana turns around. It's Olshaw. Small face immediately raised a bright smile. It's your highness. Looking at the charming girl in front of him, who was drunk, with a unique allure, Orexio was momentarily stunned. A blush quickly rose on his face. Before he could gather his thoughts, Luciana had already leaped towards him. Orexio instinctively caught his lover's first proactive embrace. The man felt a thrill of delight inside. The face is calm. Tears Anna. I'm not in the mood to listen to your drunken nonsense. Are you talking nonsense after drinking? But I'm not drunk at all. The girl kept talking like a complaint. Suddenly my feet became soft, almost fell. Orexio grabbed her slender arm with quick eyes and hands. Luciana moaned in pain. It hurts. Another bruise. The bruises before have not healed yet. The girl dumped Orion's big hand in tears. Wow and cry. I don't like you. His Royal Highness, because of you, I can't do anything. Of course. Orexio is like a stream of good deeds. Revealed the accusation of Luciana. The domineering girl came forward and hugged her in her arms. Looking at the cute Luciana after being drunk. Sneering laughter in my heart. How interesting. I'd love to hear more. At the same time, the big hand gently stroked the girl's back. Wait until Luciana's mood eases. Orshaw took the opportunity to pick up the girl. Put on your own leg. Cheer, are you ready to tell me more? He is the only prince in the world with heart reading, but I can't see through the girl's thoughts. What kind of secret is hidden in him? Orexio slowly poured a glass of nectar wine. Hear it to the girl who has been drunk completely. Tell me about Luciana. Rayana obediently took the wine glass Gudu and drank it. Although I'm not particularly interested in what the girl said. But what can be figured out what to do? Orshao feels satisfied. The girl who drank the wine made a snoring. Just started talking in a chattering manner. The slave owner beats me if he wants to beat me. I'll be beaten every day. Haha, sometimes she will hit me. Because I knitted the basket too tightly. Sometimes I hit me because I knitted too loosely. I remember I was only 9 years old at that time. Luciana chatters about her miserable childhood. These are the past that Orshao doesn't know. Although it hurts very much. But Orexio is a little puzzled. Why is he just telling about being beaten? Luciana suddenly yelled for a long time and smiled bitterly, rubbing the red eyes. Ask why you didn't come to save me. What? Orexio looked at the girl in front of her with an innocent look. You are God or the Sun Prince. But you never appeared when I needed you the most. Then why did you save me when I want to die? I've been looking for you. Whenever those monsters kick me down. When I tore my clothes to pieces. I just call you. Have you ever cared about people who need to help like me? At this moment Lydiana's mood came up. Xiaoquan fiercely put on Orexion's chest. I'm sure you are busy listening to the prayer of the greedy person. You don't care about the painful crying. Speaking of this girl crying, the more sad. He was relieved in the man's arms without getting angry. Facing Luciana's nonsensical complaints. Orshaw sighed softly. Enough, you're drunk. Luciana continued to choke and said you only appeared when I was about to be burned to death. Then what did you do? You said I'm yours. I will live forever. How dare you say that you are a god? Luciana, who was drunk, shaking and pointing at Oriai and smiling. The man grabbed the girl's messy hand. Holding someone in your arms, said softly so. How about Luciana? The girl hasn't reacted yet, just staring straight at that charming face. Subconsciously asked what you said. Orsho spoiled, then what do you want to get from me? Tell me what you want, I will do. Hearing this, Luciana was stunned for a moment. Turn awkwardly and say what is the use now? You gave me eternal life. But I'm still dead. Your essence flows in my body. Speaking of this, Lixiana paused. Like what you realize. Turn around and shout, waiting. Really, will you give anything I want? Gods won't lie. What exactly does he want from me? Orsha is curious again. I saw Lixiana take a deep breath, close your eyes and shouted that I want freedom. These words come out. Orexo thought he had heard something wrong. Why can't I be as free as everyone else? Please go on this way. I may wither and die. Lixiana pinched Orexo's horn. I cried like a child. I don't want to drive forever. Oresha's face blankly Rayana. I think I've given you enough. But I want to enjoy life. Don't want to live like a doll. Cross Orsho and stayed up. Is it free? Can I give him the whole world? But he only needs freedom. I thought he would want gold, land or honor. Even retaliated with those who hurt him. But he only wants freedom. Thinking of this, Ori laughed. Okay, that's it. Lixiana. When Yanlei Anna stunned. Blinking the round eyes. Staring at Oret. It's like a dream come true. Satisfied smile. Once I'm free, I'll run to the forest. A forest full of trees. I'll live in a small farmhouse. Picking a basket of wild strawberries. Afternoon. I'll go see the sea. The vast ocean will make me feel free. The ocean I've seen before is so beautiful. Talk about. The overwhelming sleepiness came instantly. Lixiana rubs her eyes. I really didn't hold on. Leaning on Orexo's leg, the man quietly looked down at the girl with rosy cheeks. Sky. So you hope I will give you the sea. Hearing this, Lixiana, who had her eyes closed, shook her head subconsciously. What's the point of not owning an ocean? I just want to enjoy her calmly. Looking at the girl who has completely fallen asleep, Orsha sighed. Gentle stroking Rayana's golden hair. I secretly thought about my first campaign in my life. This is a pretty eye-catching crack. Like a tiny flaw on a well-made porcelain. Watching the beloved girl crying in her arms, even the all-round sun prince is helpless. Had to wait for Lixiana to fall asleep. Hold up. Put it on the bed carefully. Orexio quietly looked at the sleeping girl. Sigh. Stroking his hair skillfully with his hands. But in my mind, Lixiana asked you nonsensely why you didn't come to save me. The man sat silently on the soft couch beside him. I picked up the glass that the girl had drunk, close to the lips. When you pray to the sun god Thor, how could I hear your prayers? I may be the prince of the sun, but I am just the ruler of the place of Shadow Teska. It's hard to hear the prayer of the desperate person. I exist only to maintain the balance of Povius. My responsibility is to kill more people. For centuries. My hands are covered in blood. Lixiana, do you know anyone treat me as the god of death? Thinking of this, Ao Lei Shao suddenly stood up. I swept toward the corner beside said coldly. Gino should wake up. These words come out. Gino stood up instantly. Waving yawned. Oh, my whole body hurts. Orsha ignored it. Just ordered. I want you to go to Eladig. What did you hear this? Gino's eyes widened. Orexo holds his chest with both hands. I want to see how Lixiana lives in the human world. Do you want me to go now? Facing the sudden order from Orizio. Inua is really inexplicable. I do not understand. Horatio explained patiently. Since I don't understand his thoughts, you have to help me collect the news I need. Mortal life is much shorter than you think. Some people may die during your delay. Now I'm leaving. Classical Ganoli was frightened. Your Highness, what's wrong with you? Do you also want to be the judge of the world too? Don't tell me you do this because Ms. Rayana said after drinking. All His Highness's slaves have experienced his pain. This is true. Facing the loneliness that was trembling all over, Ori said calmly. But Lixiana is no longer a slave. In fact, he belongs to me now. I can't watch my own people suffer. Gino was hit by a sudden dog food accurately. I can't agree with Orsha's emotional decision. I don't know what you're talking about. His Royal Highness, please consider it again. It has been 1,000 years since the last time the gods interfered in human things. Even His Majesty Thor has not intervened in human affairs. Everyone would see this as a provocation against your father. Killing a few humans won't make Lady Lixiana's nightmare disappear. Rather than dying, it's better to ruin them. Let them be afflicted by disease. What I mean is, there are other ways to punish them. Gino speaks earnestly, advising. But Oral ignored it. He just exchanged a glance with Gino, and said lightly, go quickly and return quickly. Gino instantly let out a painful wail, no longer daring to argue. You leave me no choice. Your Highness, matters of the Heavenly Palace are like a robbery on the line. Once they are destroyed, there is no way to untie it. Remember this. Soon Gino was wrapped in blue divine power, instantly disappearing before Aurelio. Fireworks set off for celebration in the distance are still in the air. Aurelio watched quietly. If there's still time. Letiana, I want to be the god you are searching for. On the other side of the mortal world, in the arena of a Latigo suburb, Grazia is meeting with a merchant who sells poisons. She intends to purchase a rare poison from him. Seeing the merchant hesitate, Grazia reveals a gentle smile. Don't worry, you won't be harmed. I only intend to use it when my slave gets out of control. Madam, I know you would never hurt me. The classical Glacia seems quite pleased. You're very clever. Now, make your offer. Just then, a maid rushed in a panic. The master is in trouble. Lord Apatus is causing a ruckus in the tavern again. Is that so? That's great.